Chapter 407. After reading the jade slip, Chen Daoyan raised her head and couldn't help but said, "This is the one that can refine the power of creation." Right. Chen Daoxian smiled and nodded. "Next, I have 2 tasks for you. The first is to adjust the production structure of Guanhai Xiancheng to adapt to the large-scale use of magic tool machine tools in the future, including the transformation of magic tool factory buildings and production lines, as well as the placement of laid-off low-level tool refiners. The second task is that." Chen Daoxian pointed to the jade slip in Chen Daolian's hand. "I want you to use all your family's abilities to collect the raw materials for refining the Qingmu Ding. Once we improve the 4th-order magic tool machine tool, we can mass-produce the Qingmu Ding." Hearing this, Chen Daolian couldn't help but get excited. The meaning of Qingmu Ding, as the acting patriarch of the Chen family, couldn't be clearer. A batch of 3rd-order high-grade power spirit armor owned by the Chen family has a defensive effect comparable to that of 4th-order spirit armor. The refining method of high-level spirit armor has always been monopolized by the major Yuaning families in Wanxinghai and the Qianyuan sword sect. Even now, the Chen family has not mastered the refining method of high-level spirit armor. This is also one of the manifestations of the rapid rise of the Chen family and the inability to keep up with the family heritage. But as long as you have the power of good fortune, what is the refining method of high-level spirit armor, and you can directly use the power of good fortune to promote it. Moreover, the high-level spirit armor promoted from the Chen family power spirit armor is even better than the traditional high-level spirit armor. The Chen family's Zifu cultivators had already experienced this firsthand. Thinking of this, Chen Daoyan nodded. "Patriarch, don't worry, I will definitely complete the 2 tasks you have given me." Heard. Chen Daoxian showed satisfaction on his face, nodded and said, "Very good, let's do it." "Yes, Patriarch." Looking at Chen Daolian's passing away, Chen Daoxian felt for the first time how much help he had in his cultivation by holding a huge family power. Foreseeable. Once Qingmu Ding is mass-produced, Chen Daoxuan's Xianhuang realm will inevitably make up for its innate deficiencies under the irrigation of the power of creation in the sea. That's right. The Xianhuang realm opened up by Chen Daoxian has a big deficiency compared to other real monarchs of the world. The disadvantage of this is that when other nascent soul true sovereigns opened up the world, the Dao domain was basically the same as the divine consciousness range, which was more than 10,000 miles away. What's more, its Dao domain range can even reach a terrifying level of tens of thousands of miles. After all, Chen Daoxuan's cultivation is only in the late stage of Jindan. Compared with Jindan cultivator, his consciousness is indeed relatively strong, but compared with Yuanying Zhenjuan, it is not as good. This point, no matter how high his Dao realm is, it is difficult to make up for it in a short time. Because divine consciousness is the same as mana, in addition to relying on the improvement of cultivation, it can only be improved by special secret methods. For example, Chen Daoxian practiced Shenhai Pian, which is the only way to increase the strength of spiritual consciousness. However, the time he spent cultivating the Divine Sea chapter was too short, and although it played a certain role in improving the strength of his divine sense, it still could not close the gap between him and the true monarch nascent soul. As for the increase in mana strength, let alone the increase in mana strength, Chen Daoxian simply does not have a secret method in this regard. The reason why his mana is comparable to that of true monarch Yuanying relies on the magic weapon of the 6th grade good fortune White Lotus, and he takes the road of winning by quantity. But the essence of his mana is still the golden core mana, which is not comparable to the true monarch nascent soul. This weakness was actually exposed when he fought Jiang Qingye, but with the support of the 6th grade lucky White Lotus, the exposure was not very obvious. For the lack of mana and consciousness, after Chen Daoxian used other means to make up for it, it may not show anything in ordinary battles. But breaking through the world realm has caused a big flaw, that is, the size of the Xianhuang realm is far less than the world opened up by other world realm monks. Although Chen Daoxian has reached the 2nd level of the world realm, the size of his Xianhuang realm is not as good as that of a 1st-level monk in the world realm. It has to be said that this defect has a considerable impact on combat power. When he fought with Jiang Qingye before, it was because the Xianhuang realm was too small and the power of the world contained in the Xianhuang realm was too weak, so it couldn't consume the opponent. If the worlds of the two were reversed, Chen Daoxian would be able to use the Jiugong formation to completely trap each other in the formation. However, now that the Xianhuang realm has become a reality, if you want to make up for the foundation, you can only have a chance after breaking through the third layer of the world realm. After all, a cultivator can only use various resources from the outside world to expand the world he has opened up until he has reached the third level of the world. It is precisely because of this reason that the sect forces in Xian Yunzu are constantly fighting for resources. Because the later the monks practice, the more resources they need. Quiet indoors. Chen Daoxian sat on the futon and calmed down. He began to count the harvest of this trip to Qianyuan Jianzong. Participating in the celebration ceremony held by Qianyuan Jianzong this time, the biggest gain should be to reach an unanimous strategic cooperation with Qianyuan Jianzong's concubine Qin Shui. This makes the Qin family not completely opposed to the behemoth Qianyuan Jianzong. Although in Qin Daoxuan's heart, although the Qianyuan sword sect was huge, he did not have much fear. The reason for this is the strong confidence brought by his rapid increase in strength. If Qianyuan Jianzong regards the Qin family as the biggest opponent before the recapture of Zenengguan, it is estimated that Chen Daoxian will be very anxious. But now, he has no worries in this regard. Because Chen Daoxian knew that as long as he didn't fall down for a day, no force would dare to think badly about the Qin family, unless it was a desperado. But in the world of immortality, how many desperados are there? Basically none. The group with the most desperados is the loose cultivator. Because the loose cultivator has no worries, and because there is no worry, there is no bottom line and no fear. If it weren't for the lack of strength of the scattered cultivators, these people would definitely be the biggest unstable factor in Wanxinghai. What's more amazing is that low-level scattered cultivators often have the courage to go all out. But as the cultivation base of the loose cultivators got higher and higher, they gradually became similar to those cultivators from the cultivating families and sects, and they began to become timid. In addition to the Qin family's status and benefits, Chen Daoxuan's biggest gain was the 2 trophies he won after winning the gambling fight with Jiang Qingye. One, of course, is the power of creation that the other party compensates him for. Chen Daoxian took out a storage ring, and his divine sense penetrated into it. He counted it carefully. There were a total of 64 bottles of the power of good fortune, and each jade bottle contained 100 drops of the power of good fortune. So many jade bottles, exactly 6,400 drops. These powers of creation are also the greatest wealth Chen Daoxian has obtained so far. However, since he has mastered the refining method of Qingmuding, Chen Daoxian is not too concerned about the power of creation, a rare treasure that is rarely seen in the outside world. Because he knows that as long as the Qin family can mass-produce the greenwood cauldron, how much will the power of good fortune be in the future? Thinking of this, Chen Daoxian put down the storage ring without any waves. Turn to look at the second harvest. This second harvest is what he cares most about, a jade slip. According to Jiang Qingye, in such a jade slip, all the secrets of the inheritance of Wanxinghai that the Jiang family knew were recorded. This gain is not too big. Because of this kind of thing, even Qianyuan Jianzong does not have it. Don't look at the Qianyuan sword sect that has been entrenched in Wanxinghai for thousands of years, and countless sect disciples have entered the Wanxinghai inheritance trial. But after thousands of years, Qin Zhan was the only one who could really break into the Tongtian Tower. Therefore, Qianyuan Jianzong's understanding of Wan Xinghai's inheritance is not much more than that of Chen Daoxian. This is the reason why Chen Daoxian is so attentive to this Wanxinghai inheritance. With excitement, Chen Daoxian slowly sank his consciousness into the jade slip. Suddenly, a large amount of information poured towards Chen Daoxian. After about a cup of tea, Chen Daoxian slowly raised his head. In the quiet room, Chen Daoxian frowned. According to the information recorded in this jade slip, the inheritance of Wan Xinghai is divided into two parts. The first part, of course, is all the inheritance before the Tower of Babel. This part of the inheritance was named the ordinary inheritance by the Jiang family. The second part is about the Babel Tower. The Jiang family will be able to break into the Tongtian Tower, and the inheritance obtained by the monks is called the elite inheritance. In the Jiang family Kailai, the inheritance of Wan Xinghai is very precious, which can only be seen from the treasures gifted by the elite inheritance. For countless years, a total of more than 900 people rushed to the front of the tower. And each of these 900 people has obtained a pure yang immortal artifact. Although this immortal weapon is very special, it is a growth-type immortal weapon. When it is first obtained, its power can only be comparable to the 5th-order high-grade magic weapon. But it's also scary. Because according to the records of the Jiang family, these three instruments will reveal their full power little by little as the cultivator's cultivation and strength improve. For example, the Star Sword Dao map in Chen Daoxuan's hands, its power is a whole rank stronger than when he first obtained it, reaching the power of a 6th-rank high-grade magic weapon. You must know that the 6th-order high-grade magic weapon, even in the hands of Yuanchen Daojun, can be regarded as a mainstream magic weapon. Ordinary nascent soul cultivator, not to mention possessing it, even if there is a 6th-order high-grade magic weapon placed in front of him, it is difficult for the other party to use it. Because of the 6th-order magic weapon, the monks have to rely on the power of the world to motivate. Simply relying on mana to drive, the demand for mana is too great. Chen Daoxian had a deep understanding of this point. Because his mana reserve is much stronger than that of the ordinary Yuaning Zhenjuan, even so, he can't bear the consumption caused by the Star Sword Dao map, and he can't use it for a long time. Only by inspiring the blessing of the power of the world in the Xianhuang world can greatly reduce the consumption of mana by this treasure. Otherwise, relying solely on mana, it is impossible to use this treasure for a long time. For the rest of the time, Chen Daoxian did not pay too much attention to the ordinary inheritance part, and all his energy was placed on the elite inheritance part. Because he was mentioned in Jiang Jiayu's slip, a member of the elite inheritance. According to the records of the Jiang family, among the monks who obtained the elite inheritance, the most powerful one broke into the 7th floor of the Tongtian Tower. Chen Daoxian didn't quite know what the concept of being able to break into the 7th floor of the Tongtian Tower was. But in the records, this fierce man has already risen to the upper bounds. In other words, this is a Mahayana true immortal level powerhouse. The dignified Mahayana true immortal only broke into the 7th floor of the Tongtian Tower, and according to the Jiang family's guess, the other party should not have passed the inheritance trial of Wan Xinghai and reached the standard of the upper realm forces to accept apprentices. See this. Chen Daoxian twitched in his heart. Mahayana true immortal. The 7th floor of the Babel Tower. Actually, they can't meet the standards of this upper realm force to accept apprentices. This upper realm force is too harsh on the choice of disciples. Of course, Chen Daoxian only dared to complain in his heart, and let him complain in the face of the Taoist man in white. He didn't have the guts yet. Because the other party looks amazing. Maybe for the monks in this world, the fact that the real demon world devoured the phoenix world, which is related to the fate of the monks in the world, is only a trivial matter in the eyes of this upper world power. Because according to the Jiang family's speculation, if there is a monk who can pass the Wangxinghai trial, maybe he doesn't need to reach the Mahayana true immortal, and the other party has the ability to forcibly take you away. Of course, this is just the Jiang family's speculation. But Chen Daoxian felt that the Jiang family could never guess without grounds. You must know that the Jiang family was the top family force left by the Mahayana true immortal. And now, in the Jiang family, there is Tianzuan Du Jia sitting in charge. If it wasn't for a certain degree of certainty, the Jiang family would not be able to leave such unreliable guesses in the jade slips left to the disciples of the clan. Otherwise, all the disciples in the Jiang family are thinking about it. What if they take the path of Wan Xinghai inheritance and ascend to the upper realm? Isn't this a typical misunderstanding? Or misunderstood his own children? According to the records in this jade slip, the first floor of the Tongtian Tower requires the strength of a real monarch of the world to pass through. In this way, I already have absolute strength to pass through the first floor. Chen Daoxian secretly said. He is now on the second floor of the world realm. Although his cultivation is only in the late stage of Jindan, his overall strength is stronger than Qin Zhan, who is on the first floor of the world realm. There was no reason Qin Zhan could break through the first floor of the Tongtian Tower, but he couldn't. Thinking of this, Chen Daoxian suddenly felt impatient to break through the Tongtian Tower. Because according to the records in the jade slip, the cultivator has the right to choose a secret method after passing through the first floor of the Tongtian Tower. You must know that these secret methods were handed down by the forces of the upper realm. Compared with the secret methods of Wan Xinghai and even Xianyun continent's various sects, I don't know how many times higher. In the spiritual world, there are many types of secret methods, but they can be roughly divided into two categories, the type of exercises and the type of magic. Needless to say about the exercises, the Qianyuan sword cannon and Dragon Mang swallowing heaven that Chen Daoxian is currently practicing are typical exercises. In the final analysis, the exercises are the secret methods used to improve the cultivation of monks, whether it is to improve the cultivation of the body, the cultivation of qi, or the cultivation of the spirit. And the technique is different. The various sword tactics, spells, and magical powers that Chen Daoxian cultivated can all be attributed to the spells. In the world of cultivating immortals, spells are also the most complicated. Of course, there are also some special secret techniques, which have the special effects common to both the power technique and the magic technique. For example, Shanhai Pian, it is obviously a kind of exercise to improve the cultivation of cultivators, but it has the special magical power of fixed soul and divine light, which makes it difficult to tell whether it should belong to a cultivation technique or a magic technique. For this kind of secret method, it is more casual to classify it. A monk can call it a practice method, or it can be called a magic method. Chapter 408. After passing through the Tongtian Tower, I can actually get the secret method. Chen Daoxian blinked his eyes. He couldn't help but think of the stars kendo map he got when he broke into the Tongtian Tower. In fact, what he obtained was not only the stars kendo chart, but also a secret technique, dividing the sea. It's just that Chen Daoxian didn't use the sea dividing chapter very often, so he ignored it subconsciously. So, when I break through the first floor of the Tongtian Tower, there is still another chance to choose the secret method? Think of this. Chen Daoxian couldn't help showing an expression of interest on his face, because he knew that the secret magic reward given by Wan Xinghai's inheritance must not be ordinary. What's more, according to the records in Jiang Jiayu's slip, after passing through the Tongtian Tower, this secret method can be chosen by the cultivator. Chen Daoxian knew in his heart what his biggest shortcoming was now. Regardless of his comprehensive strength, he is even stronger than a first-level real monarch like Qin Zhan. But in fact, his point is also obvious. Leaving aside the weakness of the narrow world of the Xianhuang realm he opened up, his own cultivation was the biggest shortcoming. Whether it's body-refining cultivation or qi-refining cultivation. Although Chen Daoxian's strength has already crushed almost all of the nascent soul true monarchs, his qi-refining cultivation base is only the 8th level of Jindan, and he has not yet broken through to the nascent soul stage. As for body training, it is his biggest shortcoming. Chen Daoxian's body refinement cultivation reached the skull-breaking realm, and he didn't even break through the blood-dropping realm, let alone the physical body integrated into the indestructible true meaning, and the higher-level condensed indestructible reality. After all, Chen Daoxian's physical cultivation is inferior to that of many Jindan cultivators. If it was in the past, Chen Daoxian may still feel that it is nothing, the weakness of the physical body is the weakness. Anyway, he made up his mind not to fight with others in melee, and the training of the body only needs to be gradually improved in the long practice in the future. But as he and Jiang Qingye fought in the extraterritorial void, Qin Daoxian found that this was not the case. The way of fighting in the world is a little different from what he imagined. It is no longer a pure cultivator holding a magic weapon to fight remotely, but melee combat. Combined with the picture of the giant axe fighting with the giant axe that Qin Daoxian saw in the true immortal origin realm back then, he speculated that melee combat may be the mainstream fighting method after the cultivator's cultivation became high. The powerful body training, coupled with the blessing of the power of the world, will make the cultivator's body explode with incredible power. This kind of power is far more ferocious and violent than simply using the power of the world to activate the magical instrument. In the battle with Jiang Qingye, Qin Daoxian used the 7th order mid-rank formation, and he was almost unable to guard against the opponent's unarmed attack, which is evident. If Jiang Qingye was holding a 7th order magic weapon, Qin Daoxian was sure that the opponent would definitely be able to break through the defense of the river of time and space and attack his body. In other words, in the previous battle, Jiang Qingye obviously kept his hand. Although Qin Daoxian didn't know what the other party was doing. Tower of Babel. Qin Daoxian raised his head and looked in the direction of Wan Xinghai's inheritance. The next day. Qin Daoxuan's immortal mansion. You want to accompany me home? When Luo Li heard Qin Daoxuan's words, her pretty face suddenly showed excitement. Okay, Qin Daoxian said with a smile, you haven't gone back to see your father for a long time, right? Talking about Luo Li's father Luo Xiuyuan, Luo Li's eyes couldn't help showing a look of longing. Luo Li lost her mother when she was young, and then followed her clan to fight in the underwater world of Wangxinghai all day long. It can be said that Luo Li grew up under the protection of Luo Xiuyuan throughout her childhood. The father-daughter bond is very deep. Speaking of which, the Mer people are still a subordinate race of the Qin family. Of course, with Luo Li's marriage to Qin Daoxian, the status of the merman race also rose. At least now in the Wangxinghai underwater world, no race dares to find trouble with the mermen, and even the major immortals in Wangxinghai are courteous when they encounter the mermen. This is the current deterrent power of the Qin family or Qin Daoxian. This kind of deterrent power reached its peak after Qin Daoxian broke into Taizhou Gs Yanqing alone and killed Jiang Taiyuan. In the eyes of Wan Xinghai's immortal clan, since Qin Daoxian was able to break into the Jiang family alone and kill the Jiang family leader, he could easily take the life of any Yuanying family leader. Who is not afraid of this kind of deterrence? Not to mention Qin Daoxuan's rise to date, the most commendable thing is his terrifying talent. It is said that Qin Zhan is the most talented disciple of Qianyuan sword sect, but compared with Qin Daoxian, Qin Zhan's talent is not worth mentioning. Qin Daoxian has always acted resolutely. As soon as he made a decision in his heart, he took Luo Li's hand, and his figure disappeared in the immortal mansion in an instant. The inheritance of Wan Xinghai is in the underwater world of Wan Xinghai. With Qin Daoxuan's current strength, he can easily arrive with just a few teleports. In his eyes, Guang'an Mansion, which was still very wide in the past, now seems to be a place that can be rushed from one end to the other with just a few teleports. This kind of feeling is actually the same for monks with advanced cultivation. Compared with other monks with advanced cultivation, Qin Daoxian, because he is relatively young, does not have the feeling of time passing by and vicissitudes of life. He simply felt that the distance that used to be far away was now like visiting his own backyard. The figure flickered several times. Qin Daoxian and Luo Li showed their stature, and they were already in the Magic Ape mountain range in Wangxinghai. Thanks to the help of the Qin family, the spiritual veins of Demon Ape Mountain have now been promoted to the 4th rank, which is completely enough for the people of the Mer people to multiply and practice here. The princess is back. The princess is back. Soon, the news of the Luo Li Hui family spread like a gust of wind throughout the entire Demon Ape Mountain. Immediately after, Luo Xiuyuan led all the elders of the Merman clan to visit Qin Daoxian. Patriarch Luo doesn't need to be too polite. Seeing Luo Xiuyuan, Qin Daoxian was also a little cautious. Judging from the status of the two, one side is the head of the Merman clan attached to the Qin family. Logically speaking, Luo Xiuyuan should call Chen Daoxian the master. But from Luo Li's point of view, Chen Daoxian was her Taoist companion, Luo Xiuyuan was his husband-in-law, and Chen Daoxian should call himself his son-in-law. Simply, Chen Daoxian chose to call Luo Xiuyuan the Luo Patriarch as before. Hearing this title, Luo Xiuyuan froze for a moment, then cupped his hands and said, "Lord Patriarch Luo can just call me by my name." Chen Daoxian quickly smiled and raised his hand to stop the road. "Okay, Patriarch Chen." Luo Xiuyuan didn't continue to be polite, nodded and said, "I don't know that Patriarch Chen brought his little girl back this time too." Luo Xiuyuan knew that, as Chen Daoxian, it should not be possible to simply accompany Luo Li back to save relatives. "I came here, firstly, to accompany Luo Li home to have a look, and secondly, to see the passage to the real demon world." Chen Daoxian did not mention the inheritance of Wan Xinghai. Although this matter is not a secret in the eyes of the big forces, Luo Li himself has also accepted the inheritance trial of Wan Xinghai, but Chen Daoxian does not want to explain too much. If there are people with outstanding talent in the future of the Mer people, they will naturally come into contact with the inheritance here. There is no need for Chen Daoxian to speak more. Hearing Chen Daoxian asking about the access to the real demon world, Luo Xiuyuan's face suddenly became serious. "Patriarch Chen, during your absence, there are new changes in the channel of the real demon world." "You mean, the passage of the real demon world here has expanded again, and it has been able to allow monks in the Zifu period to pass through?" Chen Daoxian frowned. "When I first discovered the passage in Demon Ape Mountain, only cultivators of the foundation building stage were allowed to pass through. In less than 30 years, the cultivators of the Zifu stage were already allowed to pass. At this speed, for 100 years at most, the demon master of the true demon realm can freely travel between the Phoenix Meteor realm and the true demon realm through this passage. At that time, the Qin family closest to this passage would be the first to be threatened by the world demon. Moreover, in Chen Daoxian's view, the real demon world passage in Demon Ape Mountain is more dangerous than the real demon realm passage in Taizhou. Because the opposite of the true demon realm passage in Taizhou is the Qingxiu demon country boundary, and the true demon realm passage in Demon Ape Mountain is connected to the Dayuan demon nation. The strength of the Great Yuan demon nation is much stronger than that of the Qingxiu demon nation. Of course, in 100 years, with Chen Daoxian's talent, his strength must have reached the Yuaning stage, or even the Yuanqin stage. In the mere Dayuan demon kingdom, he is not afraid at all. But he is not afraid, which does not mean that ordinary monks of the Chen family are not afraid. The demon master of the real demon world doesn't care about the life and death of the lower-level demons. In the eyes of the demon lord of the true demon realm, those low-level little demons, big demons, and even demon kings are consumables that can be discarded at any time. As long as the strength of the Wangxinghai human race monks can be weakened, they are happy to use the huge, human seat tactics to achieve this goal. Thinking of this, the expression on Chen Daoxian's face suddenly became serious. "Go, show me. It is good. Demon Mountains. The real demon world channel." Compared with the time when Chen Daoxian left here, the entrance to the real demon world here has expanded again. Chen Daoxian remembered that when he first saw this passage, it was only over 1 meter in diameter. But now, the opening of this passage has expanded to a diameter of more than 10 feet, which is more than 3 times the expansion. Scanning with his divine sense, Chen Daoxian was basically certain that Luo Xiuyuan was not lying. This true demon realm passage can indeed allow the Zifu great demon to pass through freely. After thinking for a while, Chen Daoxian turned to look at Luo Xiuyuan and asked, "Patriarch Luo, take the liberty to ask, what is the current strength of the Mer people?" "Hear this." Luo Xiuyuan looked at Luo Li, who was standing beside Chen Daoxian, and said hesitantly, reporting to Patriarch Chen, "Under the care of the Chen family over the years, our mermaid clan has grown greatly in strength. Including the old man, the mermaid clan now has 3 cultivators of the Purple House period, as well as dozens of clansmen who are at the peak of the Foundation establishment period, and will break through to the Purple House period in the future. The overall population size of my merman has exceeded 100,000, of which Qin Daoxian listened quietly to Luo Ziyuan's introduction to the strength of the merman. After a while, he shook his head. Patriarch Luo, with the strength of the merman, I'm afraid it is not enough to sit in this real demon world passage. Hearing this, Luo Xiuyuan fell silent. Of course he knew that what Qin Daoxian said was the truth. But Mo Yuan Mountain is the foundation of the Mer people's clan, and the Mer people never want to give up unless it is a last resort. Seemingly seeing Luo Ziyuan's scruples, Qin Daoxian continued, Patriarch Luo, I can give the merman 2 options. The first is that the entire merman clan is evacuated from this place, and my Qin family will find another treasured land in Wangxinghai as the clan land of the merman clan. Second, that is, the Mer people can still live in the Magic Ape Mountain, but the guarding of the passage here will be handed over to my Qin family. Hear this. Luo Xiuyuan thought for a while and said, Patriarch Qin, you said that you are looking for another treasure for my merman, but the undersea spiritual veins of this Wangxinghai are all occupied by other races. Although the strength of my merman is not weak, if I want to occupy such a treasure as the demonic ape mountains, I am afraid. Hearing this, Qin Daoxian smiled, Patriarch Luo, don't worry, the matter of finding a clan for your merman will be handed over to my Qin family. Taking 10,000 steps back, even if there is no suitable spiritual vein at the bottom of Wangxinghai, it is not a big deal for my Qin family to create a 4th-order spiritual vein for your merman. The current vision of the merman is not as good as before. They know how terrifying the spiritual stones it takes to create a new spiritual vein. But Luo Xiuyuan thought about Qin Daoxian's identity, and was relieved. For other families, it may be impossible for the other to do their best. But for the Qin family, creating a 4th-order spiritual vein is simply a drizzle. This. Thank you, Patriarch Qin. Luo Xiuyuan immediately bowed to thank him. As the head of the merman clan, of course he knew that staying in front of the ever-expanding passage of the true demon realm was equivalent to sitting on the crater. I don't know when the monster on the opposite side will rush out of the passage. But Luo Xiuyuan had no solution. After all, the reproduction and cultivation of the Mer people all required the use of various resources in the spiritual veins. After leaving the Mountain of Demons, where did they get this kind of clan land suitable for the clan to thrive? Finished solving the Real Demon World channel. Luoli gave Qin Daoxian a grateful look, then followed Luo Xiuyuan and others, and went home to visit relatives. See Luoli leave. Qin Daoxian casually sent a merman from the Purple Mansion who was guarding the passage of the true demon realm, and went straight to the cave he had opened. Live for many years. This cave is still like new, there is no dust in it. Qin Daoxian glanced at it at will, and the water avoidance formation was running very smoothly. Immediately, he sat down cross-legged in the practice room with peace of mind. The starlight of Wangxinghai, along the open-air window of the cave, spilled into the quiet room. Qin Daoxian's consciousness flew higher and higher along the starlight, until you are conscious. Qin Daoxian came to the familiar inheritance trial space again. Palace, osmanthus tree, Taoist man in white. Everything was the same as what Qin Daoxian saw for the first time. Senior. Seeing the Taoist man in white, Qin Daoxian immediately bowed his hands to the other party. The white-robed Taoist glanced at him, nodded and said, "Your avenue entry is good." Rarely, the other party actually praised him. "Thank you for your compliment, senior." The white-robed Taoist shook his head. "Of course, what I said is good, but only compared with the lower world monks in the endless fairyland. In the fairyland, your achievements are nothing." It was the first time I heard someone talk about the fairyland. Qin Daoxian couldn't help but ask, "Senior, isn't everyone in the immortal world a Mahayana true immortal? Didn't you see Immortal Realm? Why are you asking me?" The Taoist man in white asked back. "Have you seen it?" When did I? Chen Daoxian said. He was stunned for a moment, he immediately reacted, and the Taoist in white had seen it. What did he mean? Tower of Babel. Thinking of this, Chen Daoxian's heart pounded. Thank you for your guidance, senior. Taking a deep breath, Chen Daoxian continued. Junior came this time to break through the sky tower. The Taoist in white nodded, and when he waved his hand, the scene in front of Chen Daoxian changed again. Next moment, he came to a towering tower. From the outside, this Tongtian tower is not that huge, but Chen Daoxian, who has entered it, knows that every floor of this Tongtian tower may be a complete world. Glancing at the Taoist man in white beside him, Chen Daoxian walked towards the Tongtian tower. Chapter 409. Tower of Babel. Level 1. Your Majesty asked me to patrol the mountains, oh hoo hoo, after patrolling the Nanshan and the North Mountain, oh hoo hoo. Not long after Chen Daoxian entered the Tongtian Tower, the familiar shouting sound entered his ears. Hearing the familiar shouts, Chen Daoxian judged that the world in the Tongtian Tower was not the real fairyland. Or, the world in the Tongtian Tower is just a world similar to the fairy world created by the mysterious forces of the upper realm. Little Taoist priest, you're here to kill yourself again. The monster with a weird head and a human body shouted after seeing Chen Daoxian. You remember me? Chen Daoxian was not in a hurry. It seemed that this little demon remembered him. In this case, Chen Daoxian intends to provide more useful information to the other party. Who knows? The little demon in front of him ignored him, grabbed the iron stick in his hand, and greeted Chen Daoxian's head. The opponent's speed is still as fast as ever. But Chen Daoxian has long been different from what it used to be. In his eyes, the attack that he couldn't even see a shadow in now was only faster in his eyes, and it was not far enough that he couldn't react. Chen Daoxian knew that it all depended on the enhancement of his consciousness. When he was in the Zifu period, his divine sense could only protrude a few meters out of the body, but now, he can probe out a distance of several hundred meters. Although it is incomparable with the range of divine consciousness of more than 2,000 miles in Fengyun realm, the imitation here is the environment of immortal realm, and Chen Daoxian is not surprised by this. Good come. Chen Daoxian snorted softly. However, he applauded, but the figure suddenly retreated. Compared with the last time he couldn't fly when he broke through the sky tower, this time he was able to fly without light. Under Chen Daoxian's feet, the golden rule of action was concretized into a golden flying sword, carrying him back several miles like lightning. Missed in one hit. The little demon opposite Chen Daoxian shook his head in anger, and stomped his feet on the ground. Only heard a boom. The little demon's figure was like a shell out of its chamber, and it attacked directly towards Chen Daoxian. This speed is actually 3 points faster than his escape. Humph. Chen Daoxian snorted coldly. The index and middle fingers meet, pointing upwards. Immediately, the 3 immortal swords spun wildly around his 2 fingers. At the same time, Chen Daoxian frantically mobilized his mana, cast the world projection and the star kendo map, to suppress the opponent. Under the double suppression of the world projection and the star kendo map, the stature of this little monster's burst shot became slower and slower, until the stature completely stopped. What kind of magic are you casting? Seeing that Chen Daoxian couldn't control his figure, the little demon in front of him panicked. Chen Daoxian had a cold face. 3 feet in front of him, a giant golden fairy sword slowly condensed into shape. It is the giant fairy sword that Chen Daoxian concretized after combining the 3 laws of air, water and fire. Although this move has no name, it is one of Chen Daoxian's attack methods at this stage. If you don't want to die, I ask, you answer. Chen Daoxian's face was cold. Hearing this, the little demon in front of him dared to talk nonsense, and immediately nodded. I ask you, where is this place? This is Lion Camel Ridge. Lion Camel Ridge? Chen Daoxian frowned immediately. Isn't this a fairyland? The little demon in front of him was stunned for a moment, and then he seemed to understand something, and nodded immediately. Immortal Master, this is the realm of Shihanyouzhou, the land of the immortal world. Hear this. Chen Daoxian finally remembered who the little monster in front of him was. The little demon in the Shirtuo Ridge in Nyozhou, Shiha, the little diamond wind. It turns out that the immortal world in the mouth of the Taoist white-clothed is the earth immortal world. Knowing this news, Chen Daoxian did not have the desire to continue talking nonsense, and directly manipulated the golden giant sword, slashing towards Xiao Zhanfeng with one sword. The giant golden sword light directly annihilated the little monster in front of him, causing the opponent to vanish into ashes. With the small drill wind, ashes vanished. The world in front of Chen Daoxian began to collapse little by little. But strangely, he wasn't hurt at all by the collapsed world in front of him. Illusion? Chen Daoxian frowned. However, if it's an illusion, how can I carry all the magic tools and use laws? Carrying the magic weapon and using the law is fine. What Chen Daoxian couldn't understand the most was that if it was an illusion, it was impossible for the golden scriptures in his sea of knowledge to not react at all. The only explanation is that the world in the Babel Tower is not an illusion. It is the real world. Shaking his head, Chen Daoxian thought too much. Because in front of him, another new world appeared. Before Chen Daoxian could take a closer look at this new world, a Taoist man in a blue gown appeared in front of Chen Daoxian. Looking closely, the Taoist in front of him was somewhat similar to Chen Daoxian. The second floor of the Babel Tower. Chen Daoxian knew immediately that he had passed the first floor and came to the second floor of Tongtian Tower. Qin Zhan fell on this floor, and now, it was Chen Daoxian's turn to break into this floor. It has been known before that this Tongtian Tower will not really kill the passers-by, but Chen Daoxian is relaxed. He cupped his hands towards the Taoist man in Xing Yi in front of him and said, Junior Chen Daoxian, please advise. The Taoist man in Xing Yi nodded. Immediately, he pointed his fingers together, and immediately, 3 golden giant swords slowly took shape in front of him. Chen Daoxian was surprised to find that this was the move he had just used to kill Xiao Zhanfeng. It's just that he only used 1 golden giant sword just now, and the Taoist in Xing Yi directly condensed 3. Moreover, Chen Daoxian could perceive that each of the 3 golden giant swords had more power than he wielded. 3 handles, fight. Chen Daoxian gritted his teeth and made a decision. Chen Daoxian wouldn't be so desperate if he didn't know that every time he passed through the first floor of the Tongtian Tower, there were corresponding benefits to be obtained. Because from the fact that the Taoist in Xing Yi can easily use 3 golden giant swords, it can be seen that his avenue realm is far above Chen Daoxian. Chen Daoxian has come to this day, and the most commendable thing is that the realm of the Tao is far higher than that of the monks of the same level. But the Taoist in Xing Yi in front of him clearly has the same cultivation level as him, but the Tao realm is much higher than him, and I don't know how many layers he has reached the world realm. This time, Chen Daoxian took out the 9 palaces array very simply. However, before he could set the formation down, the golden light pierced through his body. Okay, so fast. The golden giant sword that the Taoist in Xing Yi used was several times faster than his. Whether it is the speed of the opponent's attack, or the speed of the sword light passing through his body. Die again. Outside the tower. Chen Daoxian's figure appeared instantly, with a wry smile on the corner of his mouth, and he was killed in seconds. Not far away, the Taoist man in white seemed to be accustomed to Chen Daoxian's complaints, not even a word of comfort, and the expression on his face was as cold as ever. Second floor of Tongtian Tower, not bad. After a light evaluation, the white-robed Taoist continued, according to the rules, if you don't pass through the first floor of the tower, you will have a chance to choose a treasure. Treasure? Chen Daoxian was stunned. Isn't it a secret method? The Taoist in white glanced at Chen Daoxian and said, treasures include secret techniques. Hear this. Chen Daoxian immediately realized that the news recorded by the Jiang family was not reliable. In the jade slip that Jiang Qingye gave him, it was clearly recorded that there would be a secret reward for breaking through the Tongtian Tower. But when it came to the Taoist in white, it was a treasure reward. The difference is huge. To be honest, Chen Daoxian is not too jealous of secret magic rewards. The reason is that he has the Hongmeng Enlightenment Classic. Is there any secret method in this world that can be more powerful than the Hongmeng Enlightenment Classic? The treasure reward is different. Treasure rewards include physical objects. For example, the Star Sword Dao map in Chen Daoxian's hand is a treasure that he obtained when he broke into the first floor of Tongtian Tower. Of course, treasures are not just magic weapons, but also various spiritual roots of heaven and earth, and even the ninth turn golden elixir that can soar in the daytime after eating one. The scope of the choice of the user is much larger than that of the secret method. Chen Daoxian didn't know why Jiang Jiayu only recorded the secret method, but never mentioned the treasure. Seeing that Chen Daoxian did not speak, the Taoist in white introduced himself. For the testers who explain the inheritance trial, the more layers of the tower, the richer the rewards. Look, this is the reward for you to break through the first floor of the tower, choose the same. Say it. The Taoist in white waved his hand, and the next moment, a screen of light appeared in front of Chen Daoxian. In the light curtain, countless items floated in the air. Chen Daoxian looked around, and there were all kinds of treasures, including elixir, spiritual roots of heaven and earth, magic tools, and various secret methods. For a time, Chen Daoxian lost his eyes. That is. Among the many treasures, Chen Daoxian actually found a seedling of Saint Yuan fruit. This thing is called Xingyuan fruit tree, but it's just a dead root. The Taoist man in white shook his head. Dead roots. Chen Daoxian showed a pity look on his face. No wonder Qin Zhan broke through the first floor of Tongtian Tower, but did not choose this thing. It turned out to be a dead root. The Xingyuan fruit tree is the top spiritual root of the Phoenix meteor realm. Although Chen Daoxian does not know how many steps the Xingyuan fruit tree of the Taiyin sect has reached, it is conservatively estimated that this spiritual root is probably above the 7th rank. This kind of spiritual root of rank, let alone possessed by ordinary forces, is that they dare not even think about it. When it comes to the most valuable treasure to a power, it must be a high-grade spiritual root. Chen Daoxian's Dao realm is far higher than his cultivation. But among the top forces, cultivators like Chen Daoxian are rare. Why? Because for the top forces in the Phoenix meteor realm, unless the monks deliberately suppress their cultivation, as long as they reach the realm of the Great Dao, they can borrow foreign objects to quickly improve their cultivation. Xingyuan fruit is a kind of foreign object to quickly improve cultivation, but it is by no means the only one. In fact, the elixir used by ordinary monks to assist cultivation is also a treasure that can quickly improve cultivation, but the effect is far less perverted than Shengyuanguo. Chen Daoxian learned that the Xingyuan fruit tree in the light curtain was a dead root, so he stopped paying attention to it. A dead root with a rank of 7th or higher, Chen Daoxian has not yet had the ability to revive it, so he is simply out of sight and out of mind. Chen Daoxian guessed that Qin Zhan was probably just as troubled as he was at the beginning. As he turned his attention to other items, Chen Daoxian couldn't help but feel a little headache, because he didn't know most of the items in the light curtain. Don't tell me, many of them haven't even heard of it. In this way, it is also called how Chen Daoxian chooses. At this moment, he finally understood why the reward recorded in the Jiang Jiayu slip was a secret technique. Because all the testers who have passed through the Tongtian Tower, I am afraid they have chosen the secret method instead of the treasure. As for the reason, everyone does not know these treasures, how to choose. Chen Daoxian glanced at the white-clothed Taoist, and found that the other party did not mean to introduce at all. He immediately knew in his heart that if he chose to reward this link, the Taoist in white could not give any hints. Seeing that Chen Daoxian was silent for a while, the Taoist man in white said slowly, no matter what choice a person makes, the first thing to do is to analyze himself. Hearing this, Chen Daoxian suddenly felt a sense of empowerment. He immediately bowed to the white-robed Taoist and said respectfully, "Thank you for your advice, senior." The Taoist man in white closed his eyes and wandered the heavens. Analyze yourself. What does Chen Daoxian lack the most? Cultivation. Chen Daoxian is far behind the Dao realm, whether it is qi cultivation or body cultivation. Taking Chen Daoxian's Dao realm on the second floor of the world realm is enough to try to break through the primordial spirit stage, and his qi refining is only in the late Jindan stage. As for the cultivation of the body, it has to be described as appalling. Although Chen Daoxian's strength is comparable to that of the real-world realm, he has never dared to fight with any real-world realm in close combat, because his body is too fragile. Against the top true monarchs, Chen Daoxian can also use the higher avenue realm and sixth-order spirit armor to bully each other. But to compete with the true monarch of the world realm, Chen Daoxian may not be able to gain the upper hand whether it is realm or magic weapon. At this time, it depends on the solid foundation of the two sides to compete. Compared with mana, compared with divine consciousness, compared with flesh and so on. And among these three, Chen Daoxian has no advantage compared with the true monarch of the world realm. Especially the flesh. Chen Daoxian's physical cultivation has only reached the skull-shattering stage, which is similar to many cultivators who have just broken through the Jindan stage. This kind of body refinement cultivation level cannot even reach the average level of a cultivator at the Jindan stage, let alone compared with the true monarch Yuaning. Skull-shattering realm, blood-dropping realm, integrating indestructible true meaning, condensing indestructible real body. The realm of the four-layer physical body, the first layer is more difficult than the first layer, and the first layer is 10 times stronger than the first layer physical body. It is also a blessing that there is a magic weapon such as spirit armor in Fengyun realm, otherwise Chen Daoxian really dare not say that he will definitely be able to beat the top true monarch. Because his physical body is too fragile and without spiritual armor to protect his body, he also cannot withstand the attack of the top true monarch. Think of this. Chen Daoxian finally knew what he wanted. He raised his head, looked at the Taoist man in white, and said, "Senior, I want a secret method." "It is good." The Taoist in white waved his hand again, and most of the treasures in the light curtain disappeared, leaving only 13 secret techniques left. Chen Daoxian looked at the 13 jade slips in front of him, and suddenly got into trouble. He cupped his hands and said, "Senior, can you let this junior check on one or two?" "Can, thank you senior." Sure enough, as he guessed, this upper realm force must benefit the tester, and it must be aimed at cultivating the opponent. If you can't watch it, then the tester has chosen the wrong one. Isn't it a waste of the opponent's training opportunity? With the approval of the Taoist priest in white, Chen Daoxian stopped talking nonsense, and focused on reading the 13 jade slips in front of him. 7017K. Chapter 410. Practice Qigong Method, Escape Technique, Golden Rainbow Technique, Practice Magic Method. 13 jade slips, Chen Daoxian kept checking them one by one. When he saw the divine cultivation technique, he paused slightly, but quickly skipped it. Because Chen Daoxian already possessed a powerful mysterious method of refining, Shanhai Chapter, and if he guessed correctly, Shanhai Chapter was a small part of a powerful cultivation method. Chen Daoxian has now obtained 2 articles of this exercise, Shanhai Chapter and Dividing Sea Chapter. Among them, the Shanhai Chapter is responsible for condensing the consciousness, and the Divine Sea Chapter can continuously divide the thoughts of the monks. Although Chen Daoxian didn't know what the ultimate effect of splitting his thoughts was, he just told him that this was definitely not a purposeless act. Whether it's Shanhai or dividing the sea, it should be the part that lays the foundation for this powerful technique. Therefore, Chen Daoxian just glanced at the divine cultivation method in front of him, and quickly gave up on it. Compared with the divine exercises and the Qigong exercises, what Chen Daoxian lacked the most was the physical exercises. To this day, Chen Daoxuan's body training method is still dragon python swallowing heaven. Although when I bought this practice method at the Guang'an House auction, I boasted that it was a top-notch body training method. But in fact, its function is similar to that of the vast body training exercises, which are to improve the body training by consuming a lot of resources. Body refining requires a lot of resources, but Qin Dao Xian doesn't care much. Whether it is high-level lingmi, blood crystal, or even blood marrow, Qin Dao Xian has a lot of inventory in his hands. However, Qin Dao Xian believes that Wan Xinghai's body training method has a drawback, that is, the training speed is slow. Of course, the speed of cultivation here is slow, which refers to the comparison with his entry into the Dao realm. For other monks in Wan Xinghai, the only drawback of the body training method is that it consumes too much resources. As for the speed of body training, it is much faster than qi training. The reason why Qin Dao Xian lags behind in physical cultivation is because his Dao realm is progressing too fast. Even with the slow progress of qi refining, with the help of Yuan Qi essence and Xing Yuan Gua, they reached the late stage of Jindan and walked in front of the body refining. In comparison, it seems that Qin Daoxuan's body refinement is progressing very slowly. But in fact, Qin Daoxuan's current body training is the speed of a normal cultivator. In just a few decades, the body refinement cultivation level has risen all the way to the skull-smashing realm equivalent to the Purple Palace period. This speed is already very exaggerated. It's just that compared to Qin Daoxuan's qi refining and Dao realm, it seems to be slow. Found it. Finally, when Qin Dao Xian flipped through the 9th jade slip, he found the body training method he wanted. Dutian Demon God's true body. Qin Dao Xian was shocked by the name of this body training method. It is rumored that Pangu opened the sky, and his blood was transformed into the 12 capital heavenly demon gods, that is, the legendary 12 ancestors. The real body of Dutian Demon God refers to the real body of the ancestor witch of the 12 ancestral witch. This exercise is a powerful exercise created by the immortal monks imitating the demon body of the 12 ancestral witch. When he read the general outline of this body training method, he immediately decided to choose it. Senior, I choose this method. Qin Dao Xian pointed to the jade slip that recorded the true body of the Dutian demon god. It is good. The Taoist man in white nodded, waved his sleeves, and the other 12 jade slips disappeared in an instant, leaving only this Duotian demon god real body. Qin Dao Xian took this body training method tremblingly, and in front of the Taoist man in white, he immersed all his consciousness into it. A long time. Qin Dao Xian raised his head slowly, and the expression on his face was a little ugly. Is this practice incomplete? Certainly crippled, the Taoist man in white has a dull expression. The complete, Dutian demon god real body, can be cultivated into the supreme ancestor Wu's real body. The body of the ancestor Wu is so powerful that even the sage master can't compare. Do you think you are qualified to meddle with this level of practice? Hear this explanation. Qin Daoxuan's face looked much better. What is worthy of consolation is that this practice is more powerful than he imagined, and he can actually cultivate into the body of the devil. You know, in the ancient flood period, the 12 ancestors of the witch race, with their terrifying physical cultivation, even once occupied the status of the protagonists of the world, and even the saints dared not compete with the 12 ancestral witches who joined forces. If Qin Dao Xian can really get the complete exercise of Dutian demon god real body, I am afraid that he will doubt the authenticity of this exercise. Now that he has obtained the incomplete Dutian demon god real body, he is looking forward to it. Because Qin Dao Xian knows that since this mysterious fairyland force can come up with this practice when the monks break through the first floor of Tongtian Tower, it proves that they must have a follow-up practice. After all, this immortal power has placed inheritance trials in the endless immortal realm to select and train disciples. Naturally, it is impossible for them to create obstacles on the path of cultivation for monks who may become their disciples. Thinking of this, Qin Dao Xian had no resistance at all in his heart. Thank you for your guidance, Senior. Qin Daoxian cupped his hands. Junior still needs to comprehend the exercises, so I won't disturb the senior. Go. The face of the white-robed Taoist remained calm. He waved his sleeve lightly, and Qin Daoxian felt the world spinning for a while. The next moment, his consciousness returned to the cave dwelling in the demonic ape mountains. Inside the cave, Qin Daoxian's consciousness returned, and he checked the Dutian demon god real body in the sea of knowledge, and was completely relieved. He now knows why in the inheritance trials recorded by the Jiang family, the rewards mentioned are all exercises, not other treasures. Because in the eyes of these lower realms monks, the inheritance of exercises is the most precious thing. It is far more real than spiritual roots and other treasures that do not know their function. To understand this, Qin Daoxian no longer struggled. Right now, the most important thing for him is to improve his body training. His body training is too low. Qin Daoxian vaguely remembered that when he first entered the Wangxinghai inheritance trial space, the Taoist in white gave him the most advice on melee skills. In the past, melee combat also became Qin Daoxian's bottom-pressing method. But as his strength improved, his physical body began to lag behind his chi-refining cultivation base and Dao realm. At this time, not to mention melee combat became his means of pressing the bottom of the box. Qin Daoxian even avoided melee combat with other monks for a while because of his physical weakness. In order to cope with his weak physical body, Qin Daoxian had to drink poison to quench his thirst by raising the rank of spirit armor to make up for the lack of his physical defense. However, no matter how high the rank of spirit armor is, it cannot block the enemy's attack 100%, especially when the enemy's attack is strong enough. Although Qin Daoxian's comprehensive strength is comparable to that of the real monarch in the world, even if he wears a 6th-order spirit armor, he does not dare to blindly resist the attack of the top real monarch. If it is Qin Zhan, if he is wearing Qin Daoxian's 6th-order power spirit armor, it is estimated that the top true monarch's attack on him is like scratching his itch. This is the difference brought about by the physical disparity. This phenomenon, the later stage of cultivation, the more abrupt it becomes. The battle between Qin Daoxian and Jiang Qingye made him understand what the fighting style of the monks in the world is like, that is, the most violent melee. With the power of the world, the cultivator's physical strength has completely skyrocketed. Coupled with the blessing of the Avenue realm, even if Jiang Qingye is barehanded, Qin Daoxian can hardly resist the opponent's attack with the help of the 7th-order mid-level formation. At that time, if the other party also used a powerful magic weapon, Qin Daoxian might not even be able to stop the other party's move. Unlike the cultivators below the nascent soul stage who are still fighting in the Phoenix realm, the cultivators at the half-step Yuanqin stage and above, even if conflicts break out with each other, are basically resolved in the endless void. Because at the Yuanqin stage, under the blessing of the power of the world and the realm of the great Tao, the destructive power of their battles is many times stronger than that of the Yuanying stage. Once a monk of this level fights on a large scale in the Phoenix Meteor realm, it is bound to cause irreparable damage to the Phoenix Meteor realm. Before the monks ascended to the upper realm, the Phoenix Meteor realm was their foundation. This not only involves the issue of cause and effect, the primordial spirit cultivator starts a war in the Fengyun realm, and if it is not good, he will also commit public anger. Therefore, whether it was the battle between Yi Tianqi and Qin Zhan, or the gambling between Qin Daoxian and Jiang Qingye, there was a tacit choice to go to the endless void instead of Fengyun realm. The next day, the cave dwelling in the demonic ape mountains. With the blessing of 100-fold comprehension, Qin Daoxian finally completed the comprehension of Dutian demon god real body. This body training method, as the Taoist in white said, has unlimited potential. But unfortunately, this practice can only be practiced to the extent of condensing the indestructible real body at most. Condensing the indestructible real body is nothing to a world realm cultivator. Basically, all the monks who have reached the world realm of the Tao realm have successfully condensed the indestructible real body. But the difference between different immortal bodies is also very different. For example, the true monarch Ming Huang, who was beheaded by Qin Dao Xian, although he also reached the threshold of condensing the immortal body, but the immortal body he has not yet condensed is too weak, so weak that even Qin Daoxuan's Xingqian Kendo map can suppress the power. Can't stand it. You must know that although the top real monarch is also afraid of the world projection of the world realm real monarch, he will never be completely defeated by the other party's world projection. The world projection and the star kendo map are somewhat similar to domain instruments, and at most can only be used to suppress, in order to achieve the effect of weakening the opponent's speed and attack. It is almost impossible for a top true monarch to be directly suppressed by the world projection of the world real monarch. At least, there is no one in the world that Qin Dao Xian has met who can do this, not even the arrogant Jiang Qingye of the Jiang family. In the Fengyun world, due to the different training methods of the monks, the immortal bodies condensed are not the same. For example, Qin Daoxuan's previous practice of dragon python swallowing heaven, if you practice to the level of condensing the indestructible real body, you can condense an indestructible real body called the dragon python real body. The strength of this dragon python real body is estimated to be incomparable to the immortal real body that has not yet been condensed by Ming Huang Zhenjuan. Since Qin Dao Xian wants to condense the indestructible real body, he will definitely not choose this one. Speaking of the immortal body, Qin Dao Xian had seized a total of 17 boxes of immortal true meaning condensed bodies from Jinyuan Zhenjuan. An indestructible condensate, shaped like a black diamond, extremely hard. But when it is absorbed by the cultivator's body, it will turn into a black smoke-like form. This kind of black smoke has no fixed shape, and it can't even be touched. Once it is integrated into the cultivator's body, it can dramatically increase the strength of the cultivator's body, which is amazing. Although the cultivators of the Phoenix Meteor realm did not have a specific grade for the strength of different immortal bodies, they judged the strength of the immortal body by how much the immortal body was integrated into the immortal meaning. Generally speaking, even if the nascent soul cultivator condenses the weakest immortal body, he must absorb more than 1,000 black diamonds. The 17 boxes that Qin Dao Xian seized from true monarch Jin Yuan contained a total of 3,672 black diamonds, which was enough for a true monarch nascent soul to condense an immortal body. Of course, the immortal body condensed by merging 1,000 black diamonds into the flesh body is just the most common immortal body. For example, the dragon python swallowing heaven technique practiced by Qin Dao Xian, if you practice to the level of condensing the indestructible real body, it is estimated that you can only condense this level. With Qin Daoxuan's ambition, naturally he would not choose to condense such a low-level immortal body. If he condenses this kind of indestructible true body, wouldn't it be inferior to even true monarch Ming Huang? Therefore, even if he did not obtain the Dutian demon god real body, in the inheritance trial space, he would find a way to change the body training method. It is impossible for Qin Dao Xian to be careless when it comes to cultivation. Qin Dao Xian will not give up each of these 3 cultivation bases: body refining, qi refining, and spiritual refining. Facts have also proved that with the improvement of cultivators, the 3 cultivations may be preferred, but even the one that high-level monks are the least good at is much stronger than the one that low-level monks are best at. Because of the latter, if a cultivator wants to improve his cultivation, whether it is mana, spiritual consciousness, or physical body, he needs to meet a certain standard. This Dutian demon god real body actually has to imitate the ancestral witch demon god when condensing the indestructible avatar. Qin Dao Xian kept looking at an ancestral witch and demon in the records of the exercises. Dijiang, Jumang, Zhurong, Shoushou, Ganggang, Xianming, Hutu, Jiangliang, Zijian, Tianwu, Shizi, and Shibishi, a total of 12 ancestral witches and demons are available for cultivation. User's choice. It's just that once a cultivator chooses a body of an ancestral witch and demon god, he can't continue to change it, and he can only continue to practice this one in the future. At least, as far as Qin Daoxuan's deity is concerned, it can only be so. For more than a day, Qin Dao Xian looked at the bodies of all the ancestors. Finally, he turned his attention to Zhu Rong's body. Because according to the introduction in The Real Body of the Demon God of Dutian, the first step in the cultivation of this Zhu Rong's body is to master the power of fire. The fire here is not the fire control technique mastered by monks. Instead, use the flesh as the oven, and use the blood essence as the fuel to ignite the fire of the devil. The biggest function of Zhu Rong's body is refining. It can be seen from the introduction in The True Body of the Demon God of Dutian that if a cultivator is successful in cultivating Zhu Rong's body, he can easily refine various resources to help the cultivator improve his body training. What does this mean? Practice speed. What Qin Dao Xian lacked the most was the speed of cultivation. If he can ignite the fire of the devil, wouldn't his physical cultivation be 1,000 miles away, and his progress would be rapid? After all, Qin Dao Xian has never lacked resources. 7017K. Chapter 411. Resource. A confident smile appeared on the corner of Qin Daoxuan's mouth. He stroked the storage ring lightly, and suddenly, a large number of body-refining treasures emerged from the storage ring. Among them, the most precious is 17 boxes of 3,672 pieces of immortal black diamonds. In addition, the most common treasure in the hands of Qin Dao Xian is the blood crystal, which is the most common treasure in Zifu and even Jindan cultivators. The treasure of blood crystal was born in the real demon world, and it is the most common body-refining treasure in the real demon world. Including blood marrow, which is more precious than blood crystals, is a specialty of the real demon world. The blood marrow in Qin Daoxuan's hands was all obtained by the true immortal Yuanjie and his party last time, and the blood crystals were acquired by the Qin family after so many years from the Jiang family in Taizhou. Given that blood crystals are relatively rare in Wangxinghai, the Qin family has not given up hoarding them for so many years. So much so that the number of blood crystals in the Qin family's hands reached an extremely exaggerated number. As far as Qin Dao Xian knew, there were at least 1 million blood crystals in the Qin family's hands. Based on the price of the Jiang family selling a blood crystal of 100,000 spirit stones, the Qin family paid at least 100 billion spirit stones to buy this blood crystal. Hundreds of billions of spirit stones. Even for the Yuaning clan of Wanxinghai, this is an extremely huge amount of wealth. Even in the entire Wanxinghai, except for the Qin family, almost all the Yuanying families could not come up with such a large sum of money. This shows how much wealth the Qin family's Canghai Xiancheng has earned for the Qin family over the years. Nowadays, even Qin Dao Xian is a little confused about how many spirit stones the Qin family can earn in a year. He only knows that the Qin family's spirit stones can never be spent. Even, because the Qin family was crazy to earn spirit stones, there was a shortage of spirit stones in the Wangxinghai prefectures. If it wasn't for the Qianyuan sword sect who had shot down the Izumo country in time and won all the spirit stone mines in the Izumo country, maybe Wanxinghai would have been in a money panic because of the strong industrial production capacity of the Qin family. This is not alarmist. Although Guanhai Immortal City is only a large immortal city with a population of several million, its productivity is even stronger than that of the entire immortal cities in Taizhou, Jingzhou, Zhangzhou and other surrounding 7 or 8 states combined. But that's the horror of large-scale industrial production. This is still the case that the magic tool machine tool is not completely popularized. If Qin Daochu completes the transformation of the magic tool machine tool, he will produce various high-level magic tool machine tools. The Qin family is about to enter a new round of industrial revolution. At that time, the industrial output value of Guanhai Xianqing exploded dozens of times again, and Qin Dao Xian was not surprised at all. Of course, the industrial production capacity of Guanhai Xianqing is strong, but it also has some drawbacks. For example, strong industrial production capacity brings excess production capacity and difficulty in currency circulation. Overcapacity is easy to understand. The country where Qin Dao Xian lived in his previous life also encountered this problem. There is only one way to solve this problem: expand the market. Whether the Qin family opened up the Yuanshan Xianqing market or the Chuyun country market, it was all to solve this problem. In order to solve this problem, Qin Daoxian already had the idea of doing it once and for all, but Qin Daoyan didn't need to worry anymore. As for the difficulty of currency circulation, it was the problem that Qin Daoxian discovered in the early days of the Qin family's development. In order to solve this problem, Qin Daoxian disregarded everyone's opposition and forcibly launched a new type of paper currency, Lingshi coin, in Guanhakshan. Compared with the use of non-renewable resources such as spirit stones as currency, the emergence of spirit stone coins can fundamentally solve the problem of currency circulation difficulties. But at the same time, Lingshi coins also have a flaw, that is, the exclusion of other state families and even Qianyuan Jianzong. After all, the other forces in Wan Xinghai are not fools. Of course, they can see the consequences of handing over the coinage to the Qin family. In fact, Qianyuan Jianzong did not hesitate to come up with something like a military merit system in order to take the coinage of the currency into his hands. But after hundreds of years of hard work, under the repeated resistance of the major immortal families in Wan Xinghai, the military exploits of Qianyuan Jianzong have not completely replaced the spirit stone and become the basic currency of Wan Xinghai. Of course, this also involves the struggle between Yi Yin and Fei Chengshu's faction, and the situation is more complicated. Now, although Fei Chenxue has completely cleaned up Yi Yin, Qin Daoxian, who is stronger than Yi Yin, has stood up. Although concubine Chenxue did not want to be an enemy of Qin Daoxian from the bottom of her heart, Wan Xinghai was so big that one mountain could not hold two tigers. As long as the Qin family and Qianyuan Jianzong, the two giants, both want to dominate Wan Xinghai, conflicts between the two are bound to break out in the future. Unless, let the interests of Qianyuan Jianzong and the Qin family be completely combined. Shook his head. Qin Daoxian put away the distracting thoughts in his heart, and looked intently at the blood crystals piled up like a hill in front of him. With his body training, it is most suitable to use blood crystals. The use of blood marrow is a bit wasteful. As for the true meaning of immortality, which is shaped like a black diamond, it is simply poison to scrape bones. With Qin Daoxian's current physical strength, he can't even touch it. Looking at the blood crystal in front of him, Qin Daoxian picked one up and held it up in front of him. When cultivating dragon python swallowing heaven technique, he used blood crystals in a very primitive and rude way, that is, cutting the flesh, stuffing blood crystals into flesh and blood, and then running dragon python swallowing heaven technique frantically to refine the blood crystal. This process is very painful, but the speed of improving body cultivation is also the fastest one. After so many years, Qin Daoxian has not relaxed his body training practice, but after all, the practice time is short. To this day, his body training has only reached the pinnacle of the skull-smashing realm, and he has not completely entered the blood-drop realm. As for integrating the true meaning of immortality and condensing the true body of immortality, it is even more than 108,000 miles away. Now that there is the cultivation method of Dutian demon god's true body, Qin Daoxian can completely abandon the backward training method in the past. Think of this. Qin Daoxian didn't delay any longer, and immediately practiced according to Zhu Rong's practice method. In the blink of an eye, a year has passed. Dong Fuzhong. Qin Daoxian opened his eyes irritably. During this year, day and night, he visualized his body turning into an oven, trying to ignite the essence and blood as fuel wood, turning it into a fire of the devil, but he was unable to succeed. This Dutian demon god real body is too difficult, Qin Daoxian frowned. Obviously, I have thoroughly understood this practice, and the physical strength also meets the standards for cultivating it, but for so long, I can't even get started. Seeing the delay in effort for so long, Qin Daoxian was heartless and stopped trying. Instead, he used his magic power to capture a bunch of blood crystals. There were 23 blood crystals in total. Immediately afterwards, he used his fingers to transform the sword, frantically controlling the immortal sword condensed by the power of the law, cutting his fleshly body. The fleshy body of the skull-smashing realm, under the cutting of the sword of law, was as fragile as a piece of paper, and it was easily slashed with blood. Qin Dao Xian immediately controlled the blood crystal and squeezed it into the blood port on his body. Laugh. The moment the blood crystal was squeezed into the flesh, it merged into Qin Daoxuan's blood, and the next moment, his blood became extremely hot. At this moment, if someone took out some of Qin Daoxuan's blood to measure the temperature, he would find that his blood reached an astonishing tens of thousands of degrees. With such scorching heat, even steel can easily melt. But with the strength of Qin Daoxuan's body, it was only hot and red, and there was no other change. It's just that Qin Daoxian knew in his heart that this was just foreplay. After the blood crystal is integrated into the flesh and blood of the flesh, if the body refining exercises are not used to refine it, the temperature of the blood will increase over time until the cultivator's flesh is completely melted. Unless the cultivator's body reaches the blood-dropping realm, even the cultivator in the skull-shattering realm would not dare to allow blood crystals to boil in his own blood. Qin Daoxian dared to do this because his body training reached the peak of the skull-breaking realm, and he was only one step away from the blood-drop realm. On the other hand, he wanted to push himself. The cultivation of Zhu Rong's body is more difficult than he imagined. The biggest difficulty among them is that the threshold for cultivating this demon god's body is too high. With his skull-shattering body, he can't actually ignite the demon god's fire. You must know that this group of devil fire is the foundation of Zhu Rong's cultivation. If you can't ignite this devil's fire, you don't even have the qualifications to practice this technique. This can't help but arouse Qin Daoxuan's pride. Qin Daoxian has never encountered the slightest obstacle, no matter how difficult it is to practice, and now a mere body training practice has stumped him. How could Qin Daoxian be convinced by this? More importantly, he clearly understood this practice, but he just couldn't get in. If the physical body is too far away, Qin Daoxian will sigh in one breath, but it is clearly written in this practice that the threshold for cultivating the body of the devil is the skull-smashing realm. This is what makes Qin Daoxian the most angry. Whether it is software or hardware, he meets the requirements, but it is difficult to accept the feeling that his cultivation is unsuccessful. Qin Daoxian immediately thought of using blood crystals to melt into the blood to increase the temperature of the blood. Perhaps, he could try this method to ignite the fire of the devil in his body. Quiet indoors. The temperature of Qin Daoxuan's body continued to rise as time passed. In the end, his internal organs and muscles began to melt a little bit. Fortunately, he had set up a defensive formation in this cave, otherwise the high temperature would have evaporated even the seawater around the cave. The stone walls in the cave, under the intense high temperature emanating from Qin Daoxuan's body, were roasted into glass-like crystals. In the practice room, the warm jade futon that Qin Daoxian sat cross-legged gradually melted and turned into chalcedony, and then evaporated. In the end, Qin Daoxian turned into a small sun, making people dare not look at him. The fire of the devil. Light it up for me. Qin Daoxian screamed wildly in his heart. At this moment, he had already risked his own life, and if he didn't succeed, Qin Daoxian would definitely turn into a pile of flying ashes. It can be said that this is the most adventurous thing he has ever done in his practice. It was even more dangerous than when he and Qin Zhan raided the Qingwei Taoist sect together. But the path of cultivation is like this, and any high-level cultivator has passed through many life and death difficulties along the way. Among them, there are dangers in the process of cultivation, and there are also dangers encountered when going out to find opportunities. But as a monk, since he chooses to embark on the path of cultivation, he must be prepared to die at any time. Obviously, Qin Daoxian is also a qualified monk. In order to go further on the path of spiritual practice, he did not hesitate to die and then live. But obviously, he made the right bet this time. Just when his fleshly body melted to the point where only the upper body remained, a gray flame was ignited by Qin Daoxian at the acupoint in the chest. See this scene. Qin Daoxian almost cried with joy. Refining for me. Chen Daoxian roared in his heart. In an instant, Chen Daoxian merged into the blood crystals in Chen Daoxuan's blood, and was quickly refined by this gray flame. As the blood crystals were refined, Chen Daoxuan's body began to recover rapidly. Not only did new legs grow, but his physical strength also began to increase wildly. This kind of increase in physical strength is unprecedented. This feeling is like constantly upgrading when playing games. If the dragon python swallowing heaven technique refines blood crystals and increases the strength of the physical body at a speed of 1, then the speed at which this group of demonic fire increases the strength of the physical body is at least several thousand. The difference between the two is completely incomprehensible. What's even more terrifying is that, according to the records in the real body of the demon god of Dutian, the gray flame condensed by Zhu Rong's body is only the lowest kind of flame. With the improvement of the cultivator's physical cultivation, the power of this flame will continue to increase. Chen Daoxian didn't care about the power of this gray flame, but Chen Daoxian could see the speed of it refining blood crystals. Back then, it took him several days to refine a blood crystal with dragon python swallowing heaven. But now, most of the 23 blood crystals remained in his blood, but they were refined by Chen Daoxian in less than a cup of tea. Even, due to this amazing increase in physical strength, Chen Daoxian faintly felt that the threshold that prevented him from breaking through to the blood-dripping realm was actually loosened. This is too exaggerated. Chen Daoxian showed an unbelievable expression on his face. Doesn't this mean that I can break through the blood-dripping realm in just a few days? Think of this. Chen Daoxian was instantly motivated. He is neither short of resources nor short of training speed, and he is ready to make a rush to break through the physical body to the blood-dripping realm. The next day, as the last blood crystal was refined into nothingness by the gray flame in the Tanzhong cave, Chen Daoxian withdrew from the state of refining the blood crystal. If there are outsiders present, they will be surprised to find that Chen Daoxuan's physical cultivation has been upgraded to the blood-dripping realm. Not only that, he even completed the consolidation of the realm. From the outside, it was impossible to tell that he had just broken through. In one day, this gray flame is stronger than I imagined. Chen Daoxuan's consciousness observed the dark gray flame quietly burning in the Tanzhong point, and muttered. He found that as the physical cultivation level broke through to the blood-dripping realm, the flame in the Tanzhong cave changed from light gray to dark gray. Apart from that, Chen Daoxian did not notice any other changes. As for the terrifying power of the devil's fire mentioned in Dutian Demon God Real Body, he did not know it. After all, with his great Dao realm, even if the power of this demonic fire is astounding, it is only a blood-dropping flame. Can it still burn the true monarch nascent soul to death? Compared with this, Chen Daoxian is more concerned about the consumption of resources by cultivating Zhu Rong's body. Chapter 413. After saying this, the atmosphere on the field was slightly heavy. Of course, even if the real demon world really devoured the Phoenix meteor world, it would have to be tens of thousands of years or even hundreds of thousands of years later. By then, let alone us, it might not be possible for the current transcending robbery. Live in the world. After all, the fairy way is cut off. Speaking of this, Fei Chengshu's tone became low again. Don't talk about it, she raised her head and said playfully with her hands behind her back, last time you asked me, didn't you say you wanted to show me your Qin family's Guanhai Xiancheng? Chen Daoxian was a little uncomfortable by Fei Chengshu's playful appearance, and cupped his hands. Sect master, please. As he said that, he turned to look at Ziling, who was beside him. Fairy Ziling, please stay here later. Ziling nodded, Fushan bowed and said, concubine knows that the son and the concubine will be the sect master. Okay, Chen Daoxian nodded, and immediately, he took Fei Chenxue and flew towards the industrial area of Guanhai Xiancheng. Guanhai Xiancheng, as an industrial city built by Qin Jiaqing's whole family, has expanded by at least 10 times compared to the beginning of the city after so many years of continuous development. The most obvious feature is that Guanhai Xianqing completely banned the city wall without precedent in history. You must know that most of the immortal cities will set up such things as city walls. First, the city wall and the defensive formation can provide a good protection for the immortal city. Second, this city wall is the boundary between immortals and mortals, and it separates immortals and mortals very well. This city wall protects more than immortals, but mortals. But the Seaview city of Sequoia Island completely broke this pattern. Because Guanhai Xianqing is a city where immortals and mortals coexist. The population of the entire Guanhai Xianqing, including mortals, has reached tens of millions. Even if it is only a monk, there are millions of people. Although it is not comparable to Yuanqing Xianqing, in terms of Cangzhou, this is already the largest Xianqing. Stop here for a while. Fly halfway. Fei Chenxue said suddenly. Qin Daoxian probably knew what the other party was thinking, and nodded, okay. The two of them lowered their escape light and landed on the broad road in the noisy city. The majestic buildings of Guanhai Xianqing did not attract Fei Chengshu's attention. After all, for her, the sect master of Qianyuan sword sect, she has seen the majestic Tianzuan city, not to mention the building in a small Guanhai Xianqing. What really surprised Fei Chenxue was that the immortal city in front of her was actually a city where immortals and mortals lived together. This really surprised her. You must know that in the cultivation world, monks generally look down on mortals. Because in the eyes of monks, mortals are not only weak, but their lives are like morning dew, fleeting in a blink of an eye. This kind of existence makes many monks have a feeling that they do not agree that mortals are the same as them. The difference between immortals and mortals is the best interpretation of a monk's attitude towards mortals. But in Guanhai Xianqing, concubine Chenxue saw a completely different scene. Immortal cultivators and mortals in this city actually lived in harmony. This kind of thing, Fei Chenxue has experienced so much, this is the first time I have heard of it. Perhaps in the eyes of ordinary monks, this kind of thing is no big deal, but in the eyes of Fi Chengsu, the ruler of Wangxinghai, the significance of this matter is simply too great. It's easy to kill a person, but it's too hard to change everyone's ingrained ideas. Even if there is another Mahayana true immortal in Fengyun realm now, it is impossible to change the traditional concept of all monks. This is simply the Arabian Nights, but in Guanhai Xianqing, she saw this scene of the Arabian Nights. How did you do it? Fei Chenxue asked thoughtlessly. Chen Daoxian knew what she was asking. The biggest difficulty in making mortals and monks live in harmony is to make monks recognize the value of mortals. Mortal worth? Fei Chenxue frowned. Are mortals valuable? For cultivators, the only value of mortals is to provide immortal seedlings for the cultivator group. The monks do not need to eat the food cultivated by the mortals. Many times, the monks have to protect this group of weak mortals, so in the eyes of the monks, the mortals seem so dispensable. Without value, there will be no sense of existence. For this kind of worthless and weak existence, doesn't the cultivator bully if he wants to, or ravage if he wants to? Fei Chenxue knew that the value Chen Daoxian said was by no means a simple matter. She is now completely interested in this fairy city. In order for Wan Xinghai's loose repairers and mortals to have room to survive, Fei Chenxue did not hesitate to turn against the elders of the sect. Sometimes, Fei Chenxue also wondered whether her persistence was right or wrong. But she knows that she blindly exploits the bottom, and the bottom has no resistance, and the final outcome is that the bottom will die. With the disappearance of the bottom, how can the interests of these ruling classes be guaranteed? Fei Chenxue knew from the beginning to the end that to safeguard the interests of the most subordinate groups in Wan Xinghai was to safeguard the interests of the Qianyuan sword sect, the ruling class. However, Yi Yin couldn't see this. Or rather, he couldn't see that far. Yi Yin could only see that concubine Chenxue was cutting the flesh of Qianyuan Jianzong to feed the bottom of Wangxinghai. The bottom layer here refers not only to loose cultivators, but also to a larger number of mortals. When concubine Qin Shue was the suzerain, she had clearly made a decree that strictly prohibited monks from wanton slaughter of mortals, and those who violated the order would be punished. It is precisely because Qianyuan Jianzong set the tone that Wan Xinghai is extremely stable inside. When Qin Daoxian was weak at the beginning, he rarely encountered murder and stealing treasures, and it was all because of the decree of Qianyuan Jianzong. This is also the most fundamental reason why the Qin family is now strong, but Qin Daoxian did not unite with other Xiuxian families to rebel, but chose to form an alliance with Qianyuan Jianzong. Compared with Wan Xinghai's immortal cultivation family, Qianyuan Jianzong, or Fei Qinxue, was more worthy of his trust. The human heart is sometimes worthless, but sometimes it is worthless. Facing Fei Chengshu's doubts, Qin Daoxian smiled and said nothing. Because what she sees next will completely subvert her cognition. Soon, the industrial zone of Guanhai Xiancheng has arrived. After decades of development, the number of industrial zones in Guanhai Xiancheng has expanded to 13, for more than the 9 major industrial zones at that time. Most of these newly added industrial areas are factories that produce various magical instruments, magic charms, and medicinal pills. In addition, there are only 3 categories of vision tools, magic talismans, and medicinal pills. But each major category is subdivided, and I don't know how many small categories can be subdivided. Take the magic weapon as an example. Among all the instruments, according to their grades, there are 21 types, from low-grade 1st grade to high-grade 7th grade. According to the function, it can be divided into several types. And for each kind of magic weapon, there will be countless styles of magic tools. For example, the first-order mid-grade offensive instruments include sword-type instruments such as the Red Shadow Sword and the Golden Light Sword, as well as various other styles of non-sword-type instruments. With so many instruments, each can build an independent factory for specialized production. For example, the Qin family's earliest factory that produced the Red Shadow Sword, the same is true for magic talismans and medicinal pills. There are many kinds, and there are naturally many factories that produce them. The factories in the 13 industrial zones of Guanhai Xiancheng were selected by the Qin family through feedback from market sales. The products produced by these factories are not only highly competitive, but also extremely popular. This allowed the Qin family to accumulate terrifying wealth that was unmatched by countless Yuanying families for thousands of years or even tens of thousands of years in just a few decades. Sect Master, please. In front of Qin Daoxian, the formation light curtain was opened by him with a token, and then he made a gesture of invitation to concubine Qinxue. Fei Qinxue nodded. Your protection here is much stricter than outside. Not only is there a 6th-order defense formation, but there are also many Zifu cultivators guarding it. In Fei Chengshu's eyes, the Zifu cultivator was nothing, since his cultivation was too low. But the 6th-order protection formation is different. In theory, the Qianyuan Sword Sex Guardian formation is only 6th order. It is the same rank as the defensive formation in front of him. The only difference between the two is that Qianyuan Jianzong's Guardian Array has a wider range. There is no way, there are too many eyes peeping here, and I can't stare at it all the time, so I can only improve its protection. Hearing this explanation, Fei Qinxue nodded in understanding. If it weren't so important here, I believe that with Qin Daoxian's temperament, he would not be so careful. Thinking of this, Fei Qinxue couldn't help but look forward to what she saw next. Soon, the two came to the first factory they visited, the Red Shadow Feijian factory. The Red Shadow Feijian factory should be the oldest magic weapon factory in the Qin family. When the Qin family was weak, it was only because of the benefit of this Feijian factory that it grew little by little. At the beginning, Qin Daoxian also named the Hongyin Feijian for the sales shop of the Qianying Feijian factory. Thinking of the hardships in the early days of starting a business, Qin Daoxian couldn't help but have a hint of aftertaste in his eyes. This is. Entering the factory, Fei Qinxue was completely stunned when she saw the situation in each production workshop. What did she see? Mortal. Groups of mortals are actually cooperating with the monks and refining the magic weapon. At this moment, Fei Qinxue couldn't believe her eyes. No wonder Chen Daoxian was able to let the mortals and cultivators in Guanhai Xiancheng live together. Where is this mixed living? They all work side by side. In the factory, mortals and monks have been mixed for a long time, and they have long been familiar with each other. On weekdays, when mortals see the restraint of a monk, Fei Qinxue doesn't see it here at all. Not only that. She even saw a new craftsman being reprimanded by a mortal master. Yes, it is unheard of for mortals to reprimand monks. What's even more strange is that the chi-refining cultivator who was reprimanded by mortals, not only did not get angry, but he did something wrong and his face was full of shame. No wonder he was ashamed, because just now, he wasted a furnace of spirit or raw materials. This fledgling craftsman is also the craftsman training school in Guanhai Xiancheng, a newly graduated apprentice craftsman. In the major industrial areas of Guanhai Xiancheng, such newly graduated interns are everywhere, and there is nothing to be surprised about at the beginning. These mortals are furnace workers, and they are also a little afraid of the identity of the other cultivator. But they found out that these new interns, in addition to being stronger than them, were far less skilled than the old refiners in the factory. The raw materials they have worked so hard to extract from the Rongling furnace are often discarded, which makes these furnace workers not angry. As a result, there was a scene where the mortal furnace operator reprimanded the apprentice refiner. Seeing this scene, the other refiners in the factory not only did not stop them, but also looked at them with a smile on their faces, and pointed at them from time to time, making this apprentice refiner who had wrecked a magic weapon desperate to find a place to so get in. How can that be? Fei Qinxue was stunned at this moment. Chen Daoxian and Chen Daoxian had just entered the factory for a long time, and the factory manager in charge of production was long overdue. Patriarch? Seeing Chen Daoxian, this disciple of the Chen family who did not know which generation he was stunned at first, and then his voice changed with excitement. Fortunately, Chen Daoxian set up a soundproof barrier before the other party shouted. That didn't stop his voice from spreading. Keep your voice down, I'm just here to take a look. You don't need to worry about me, what are you busy with? Although Chen Daoxian said so, how dare this younger Chen family dare to take it seriously? For the next visit, Chen Daoxian and Fei Qinxue could also clearly feel each other's discomfort, so they simply ended the visit after a lap. Out of the factory. The shocking look on Fei Chengxu's face still did not subside. After a long while, she slowly opened her mouth and said, this factory not only uses mortals and monks to produce together, but the efficiency is actually dozens of times that of ordinary refiners. In this way, which artifact refiner in the world can compete with your Chen family in the field of artifact? Fei Qinxue looked at Chen Daoxian with a complicated expression. As the ruler of Wan Xinghai, she knows better than anyone the significance of this magical instrument factory. Unlike the appearance of a top powerhouse in the Chen family, the factory that the two of them just visited can be copied, which is the most terrifying thing. Although the Chen family has Chen Daoxian in charge and its position is extremely stable, these factories are the key to the rise of the Chen family. If concubine Qinxue could not see this clearly, she would not be worthy to be the suzerain of Qianyuan sword sect. Next, Chen Daoxian took the concubine Chen Shui to visit the various factories of the Chen family one by one. Magical Item Factory, Magic Talisman Factory, Pill Factory. Especially in the Magic Talisman Factory, when Fei Chengxu saw each magic talisman, it did not need a monk to make it, but only relying on a mortal and a machine to produce the magic talisman, the shock on her face was indescribable. At the end of the visit, the expression on Fei Chengxu's face was completely numb. In less than half a day, her worldview was completely overturned by Chen Daoxian. Fei Qinxue had a hunch that even if the Chen family didn't have Chen Daoxian, they would rise sooner or later with these technologies alone. Because cultivators still have to rely on resources in the final analysis, and mastering these technologies, the Chen family has no shortage of resources at all. A force with sufficient population and no shortage of resources will grow and develop sooner or later. Leave Guanhai Xiancheng Industrial Zone. The two strolled down a commercial street. Seeing the crowd of people coming and going, Fei Qinxue said slowly, "You revealing such an important secret of the Qin family to me is enough to prove your sincerity in forming an alliance with my Qianyuan sword sect." Concubine Qinxue paused and raised her head. "So, what do you want me to do for you?" Chapter 4:14. Do something. Chen Daoxian was stunned for a moment, then shook his head and said, "The sect master is serious, but I do have a few suggestions below, and I want to discuss it with the sect master." Hearing this, Fei Qinxue made a contemplative expression. Chen Daoxian couldn't help but feel a strange feeling when the ruler of Wan Xinghai, who was once aloof, looked at him with this look, but soon, this strange emotion was suppressed by him. He said sternly, "The production of magical instruments, medicinal pills, and magic talismans in Guanhai Xiancheng, you must have seen the sect master. Although industrial production has skyrocketed the output of magical instruments, it also has a disadvantage, that is, it is difficult to digest these products produced. For example, the charms produced by my Qin family have now occupied more than 90% of the market in Sangzhou, Yuanqin Xiancheng, and Jinnan Xiancheng. However, these markets only consume less than 1/10 of the production capacity of my Guanhai Xiancheng." Hearing this, Fei Qinxue suddenly changed color. Although she had just visited the various magic talisman factories in the industrial zone, it was the first time she had heard from Chen Daoxian about the overall production and sales data. Horror! It's so scary. This small Sevuing immortal city has far surpassed the Qianyuan sword sect in terms of its ability to produce magic talismans. Not to mention other Yuaning families in Wan Xinghai. Chen Daoxuan's cultivation base can be improved to such a level in just a few decades. I am afraid that it is also inseparable from the resource supply of the Chen family. Chen Daoxian didn't seem to see Fei Chengshu's face, and continued, "That is to say, if Guanhai Xiancheng fully produces charms, I am afraid that the entire Wangxinghai market for charms will not be able to consume the production capacity of Guanhai Xiancheng. So, my idea is simple, open up new markets." Fei Qinxue shook her head. "Did you forget what I just told you, Tianzunqing's order?" Chen Daoxian smiled. "Of course I didn't forget it. But when I said the market, I didn't mean the Phoenix Meteor Realm." "It's not the Phoenix Meteor Realm," Fei Qinxue frowned, and suddenly, she raised her head sharply. "You mean the real demon world?" "Right." Chen Daoxian nodded. "Compared to the Phoenix Meteor Realm, the real demon realm's market is extremely vast." "No, absolutely not." Fei Qinxue kept shaking her head. "The demons of the same rank in the real demon world are generally stronger than the cultivators in my Phoenix Meteor Realm. If they get magic weapons and magic talismans, their power will rise again. A traitor who is an enemy of the Fengyun world." Sect master's words are bad. Chen Daoxian shook his head. "From the sect master's point of view, if the demon court unites the real demon world, what should it do?" Fei Qinxue didn't know the meaning of Chen Daoxuan's words, but she still followed him and replied, "If the demon court unites the real demon world, it will definitely invade our Phoenix Meteor Realm. At that time, my Phoenix Meteor Realm will destroy all life." "That's right, the view below is the same as that of the sect master. There is no Mahayana true immortal in the Phoenix Meteor Realm, and we are far behind the real demon realm in terms of top powerhouses. If the real demon world is unified, it will definitely use troops in my Fengyun world in an all-round way. Therefore, what we have to do now is to delay the unification of the real demon world." When Fei Qinxue heard this, she was suddenly shocked, and her pretty face showed a hint of joy, and said, "You mean selling magic weapons and magic talismans to those forces that are hostile to Yaoting? Is this method really feasible?" Fei Qinxue murmured. "Absolutely feasible. The lords of the major demon kingdoms in the real demon world are used to being at ease. Who wants to have an extra power over them?" Hearing this, Fei Qianxue nodded in agreement. It is like Qianyuan Jianzong, as a second-rate sect, is unwilling to become a vassal of a first-rate sect in Xianyunsu. If Qianyuan Jianzong was really willing to give up the immortal weapon of Emperor Yesbel and become a vassal of the first-class sect of Xianyunsu, maybe he would not be defeated by Wan Xinghai. But even at the most critical juncture of Qianyuan Jianzong, they did not compromise with any first-class sect. Speaking of which, the bones of Qianyuan Jianzong are still very hard. Although they fear the strong, they will never easily surrender to other forces. Because once surrendered to other forces, in addition to the loss of sovereignty, it also means that Qianyuan Jianzong will hand over most of its resources. Instead, they might as well retreat to Wan Xinghai, hoping to make a comeback in the future. Facts have proved that Qianyuan Jianzong's original choice was not wrong. If it weren't for this, Qianyuan Sword sect would never have developed to its current state of prosperity. In the current Qianyuan Sword sect, as long as either concubine Qinxue and Qin Zhan break through to the primordial spirit stage, they will be ranked among the top sect forces in the Fengyun realm in an instant. Only by becoming a first-class force, many things in the Fengyun world will really invite the Qianyuan Sword sect to participate. Otherwise, like now, Tianzuan City treats Qianyuan Jianzong even less than the various families and sect forces of Qianyuan Jianzong. How can there be any attention at all? Even Tianzunqing doesn't care about the enmity between the various forces in the Phoenix Meteor realm. There is only one order, that is, no more internal fighting is allowed. No one dared to disobey this order. Because it represents the will of all the top forces in the Fengyun world. If Qianyuan Jianzong can become a first-class force, they have the qualifications to go to Tianzuan City to participate in the decision-making. Don't underestimate this qualification. To a certain extent, it represents the right to speak. In the Fengyun world, only the strong have the right to speak. Being able to have a place in the highest authority in the Fengyun world is itself a symbol of power status. Chen Daoxian continued, besides this, there is another benefit to opening up the real demon world market, using the terrifying productivity of industrial production to plunder resources. He paused. Whether it is the Phoenix Meteor realm or the true demon realm, these two worlds seem to be boundless, but in fact, their resources are limited. Hearing this, concubine Qinxue thought of what Qianyuan Jianzong had said with Chen Daoxian before he parted. She asked Chen Daoxian how to solve the resource problem. Now, Chen Daoxian finally answered her. Therefore, as monks of the Phoenix Meteor realm, we must find ways to plunder the resources of the real demon realm. This can not only weaken the real demon realm's strength, but also strengthen ourselves. To be honest, ever since he knew about the threat of the realm demon, Chen Daoxian had a little disdain for the fighting inside the Fengyun realm. Compared with the infighting of the monks, there is no joy in opening up the territory. Moreover, the cultivation resources of the real demon world are much more plentiful than those of the Phoenix Meteor world. The reason is that the world monsters in the real monster world need cultivation resources to a large extent that are different from those of the monks. The cultivation system of the world monsters is more about strengthening the source realm in the body, and the growth of the source realm requires a kind of spiritual power. Spirituality, on the other hand, usually exists only in the body of living beings. Therefore, to the monks of the Phoenix Meteor realm, the true demon realm is simply a brand new world that has not been mined. It is conceivable that its resources are rich. This is also the reason why Chen Daoxian coveted the real demon world. Like the Phoenix Meteor world, although it is boundless, the number of monks is also countless. Almost every spiritual vein and every spiritual mine is occupied by monks. If you want to master resources, you have to fight each other. In Chen Daoxian's opinion, instead of fighting in the Phoenix realm, it is better to go to the real demon realm to fight. Anyway, in the end, they all die, so why not fight before they die? Maybe the monk will win. When the time comes to vacate the cage and change the bird, what if the real demon world devours the Phoenix Meteor world? For the cultivator, it was just a change to a larger main world to survive. It's just that today's monks have lost the spirit of the ancient times. It's okay to tell them to fight infighting. Let them go to Liangjiyuan to fight with the monsters, one is more counseling than the other. This is also the reason why Jiang Qingye looks down on the sect monks of the Fengyun realm. After listening to Chen Daoxuan's narration, Fei Qinxue was speechless for a while. For her today, the stimulation was really a bit big. Not only did she see what industrialized production was in the Chen family, but she also learned for the first time about Chen Daoxuan's ambitions. When others were still staring at the 3-acre land of Fengyun realm, Chen Daoxuan's eyes had long been placed on the true demon realm. No wonder he had no intention of competing with Qianyuan Jianzong for the dominance of Wan Xinghai from the very beginning. It turns out that his goal has always been the real demon world. To outside cultivators, they were feared like a tiger demon, but in the eyes of this man, they could be controlled and exploited. At this moment, Fei Qinxue understood for the first time why the children of the Chen family were always extremely fanatical when they saw Chen Daoxian. This kind of fanaticism, even Fei Qinxue, as the sect master of Qianyuan sword sect, has never been felt by the disciples of the sect. This kind of fanaticism represents Chen Daoxuan's unparalleled prestige in the Chen family. A monk may be able to use his strength to make other monks who are not as strong as him feel awe, but it is impossible for others to be fanatical about it. Being able to do this proves that Chen Daoxian has conquered everyone from the bottom of his heart. In fact, after concubine Qinxue recovered from the Cloud Kingdom, her prestige in the sect was already very high, but it was still not comparable to Chen Daoxuan's prestige in the Chen family. I basically understand what you think. What do you mean? Do you want to build a force in the real demon world to fight against the demon court? Chen Daoxian shook his head. It's not to support a force to fight against the demon court, we don't have such a strong ability for the time being, what I mean is, to support a force to join the force against the demon court. And gradually occupy a high position in the alliance forces that resist the demon court. The most ideal result is to finally incorporate this alliance against the demon court. Concubine Snow looked at him indifferently, and after a while, her red lips lightly lifted. Your ambition is really big. Chen Daoxian smiled unconcernedly. This goal is indeed very grand, and with the strength of my Chen family alone, it is fundamentally inadequate to implement it perfectly. Therefore, I hope to get the help of Qianyuan Jianzong. Chen Daoxian stared at Fei Qinxue intently. Concubine Qinxue looked at him without hesitation. If I promise you, it means that the future and destiny of Qianyuan sword sect will be placed on you. This bet is too big. After a long while, Fei Qinxue shook her head. Seeing Fei Chengshu's appearance, Chen Daoxuan's heart tightened. She refused. But then, Fei Qinxue changed her words. This price is too high, I have to get your guarantee. Guarantee? Chen Daoxian frowned. I don't know what guarantee the sect master wants from me. You must ensure that no matter whether this plan succeeds or fails, you will not betray my Qianyuan sword sect, let alone cross the river and demolish the bridge. Fei Qinxue was finally afraid. Even Tianzuan city is nervous about the demon court force. Chen Daoxian dares to calculate it. This is simply daring. If things were to be revealed, Fei Qinxue dared to be almost certain that the demon court would definitely dispatch a heavenly ranked world demon to come to pacify the Wangxinghai. Even if Chen Daoxian, Qin Zhan, and she all break through to the primordial spirit stage, it is estimated that it will be difficult for a Tianzun-level powerhouse to resist. At that time, if Chen Daoxian betrays Qianyuan Jianzong, they will really be wiped out. After all, the Chen family is not worth mentioning compared to Qianyuan Jianzong, whether it is population or sphere of influence. With Chen Daoxuan's strength, he can completely take the elite of the Chen family. But how did the Qianyuan Jianzong escape? There is absolutely no way to run, and if the foundation of Wan Xinghai is abandoned again, can the Qianyuan sword sect rise again? Fei Qinxue does not know. Therefore, concubine Qinxue, who has always been courageous, actually asked Chen Daoxian for a guarantee. Yes, you can make an oath to the sect master at any time. Chen Daoxian said seriously. He is very clear that this matter is of great importance. Whether it is his Qin family or Qianyuan Jianzong, it can be said that they are doing this at the risk of being chased and killed by the real demon world. It was understandable for Fei Qinxue to ask him for a guarantee. Who knows? Fei Qinxue shook her head. I don't believe in the oath of the great Tao in this matter. I want to marry you. I want to have a child with you. Huh? Chen Daoxian seemed to think he had heard it wrong and looked at her in shock. It turned out that Fei Chengshu's face was very calm. It seems that the words of marriage and childbirth did not come out of her mouth. This time, Chen Daoxian couldn't hold back a little, and said cautiously, reporting to the sect master, I have already married. I know, the princess of the Merman clan, Luo Li, right? Concubine Qinxue nodded. The mermaid race is also a branch of my ancient human race, and I agree with her as the side chamber. Hearing these words, Chen Daoxian knew that Fei Qinxue didn't mean to joke at all, and the other party was serious. Chen Daoxuan's face also became serious. I have to think about marriage. Marriage matters, you really need to think about it. I will stay with you for a few days, so I won't disturb you, right? Seeing Chen Daoxuan's serious appearance, Fei Qinxue couldn't help but laughed. Of course not. That's good. Saying that, Fei Qinxue disappeared in front of Chen Daoxian with a flash of light. Looking at the shadow of Fei Chengshu's passing away, Chen Daoxuan's heart couldn't help beating violently. To be frank, Fei Qinxue was the most temperamental woman he had ever seen. As the suzerain of the Qianyuan sword sect, Fei Qinxue couldn't help but have an excellent temperament and appearance, and her cultivation talent was even more amazing. In addition, over the past 400 years, she has disintegrated Yi Yin's power almost by herself. From this point of view, it is not a loss for Chen Daoxian to be able to marry the concubine Qin Shui. In fact, Chen Daoxian himself had a very good impression of concubine Qin Shui. His only concern was that he would break Luo Li's heart. The moment Fei Qinxue turned around and left, the pretty face couldn't hold back any longer, and was completely blushed. Although she has been in charge of a case for hundreds of years, in the final analysis, she is still an unmanned woman. It's really embarrassing to say that you want to marry and have children in front of a man so naked. 7017K. Chapter 415. Twin Lakes Island. In the courtyard of the immortal mansion where Chen Daoxian lived, a flash of light descended slowly. In the quiet room, Chen Daoxian, who was cultivating his body, stopped cultivating, and disappeared in the quiet room with a flash. See the patriarch. Seeing Chen Daoxian, Chen Fusheng, who was busy with dust, immediately bowed and saluted. Exemption. Seeing the Tianjiao Jr. of the Chen family, Chen Daoxian couldn't care less and asked eagerly, how was the search for materials? Hear this. Chen Fusheng looked a little embarrassed. He shook his head. Patriarch, I used my family's strength to search in Wangxinghai and Izumo, but for more than a year, I still found nothing. Hearing this, Chen Daoxuan's face was a little ugly. But he didn't think it was that strange. Although the main material for refining Aoki Ding, Aoki steel, is a fourth-order spiritual ore, and its rank is not too high. However, the reserves of Qingmu steel, whether in Wangxinghai or Xianyunzhu, are not many. Second, the Jiang family, as an ancient immortal clan, has a number of top forces in the Fengyun world. They have obtained the refining method of the Qingmu cauldron for hundreds of thousands of years. They had already dug 3 feet into the ground and dug out the blue wood steel in the Phoenix meteor realm. How could there be any remaining blue wood steel for Chen Daoxian? No wonder Jiang Qingye was not worried that Chen Daoxian could crack the refining method of the blue wood cauldron. Because the other party knew that even if Chen Daoxian really mastered the refining method of Qingmu Ding, he would not be able to refine it without the materials. In the Phoenix meteor realm, the material of Qingmu steel has long been monopolized by the Jiang family. It really deserves to be the top force in the Fengyun world. Chen Daoxian said with a calm face. At this moment, he really got to see the scales and half-claws of the top forces in the Phoenix meteor world. The other party can actually monopolize all the materials in the whole world, and let the Chen family dig 3 feet into the ground, but they can't find the materials for refining even a green wood cauldron. Chen Daoyan had already collected other auxiliary materials for refining Qingmuding, and most of these auxiliary spiritual or materials were only tier 3 or even tier 2. Only the main material for refining the blue wood cauldron, the blue wood steel, is the 4th order material and is the most precious. Chen Fusheng was ordered to look around, but found nothing. This result really disappointed Chen Daoxian. Thinking of this, he became more determined to open up the real demon world. Compared with the Fengyun realm, a world that has been developed for countless years by major cultivation forces, the true demon realm is equivalent to an undeveloped virgin land. There must be countless resources and treasures waiting for the Chen family. As long as his Chen family has the ability to mine and acquire. Chen Daoxian glanced at Chen Fusheng, who was busy in front of him, patted him on the shoulder, and comforted, "Since I haven't found it, this matter will be temporarily stopped." He paused. "I see that you have been practicing very hard recently. Have you reached the threshold of the late Zifu?" Patriarch Fusheng's cultivation base has reached the 5th level of Zifu, and is about to break through to the 6th level. Good. Chen Daoxian nodded, the expression on his face was quite relieved. Chen Fusheng is different from those monks who use the essence of vitality to promote cultivation. When Chen Fusheng was in the true immortal origin realm, he only used the essence of vitality and promoted his cultivation to the early stage of Zifu. He did not continue to use the essence of vitality, but chose to cultivate the realm of the avenue. After so many years, although his cultivation base has only reached the peak of the middle period of Zifu, his Dao realm has reached the peak of the realm of sword intent and star transformation, and he has almost stepped into the realm of Dao realm with 1 foot. It is enough to be comparable to the original Chen Daoxian. Of course, in this process, the cultivation of the Chen family and Chen Daoxuan's preaching played a major role, but it was also closely related to Chen Fusheng's own efforts. In the new issue of the Zifu Tianjiao list, Chen Fusheng has become the top of the Zifu Tianjiao list with an absolute advantage. The Chen family has been on the top of the Zifu Tianjiao list for 2 consecutive generations, and it is also widely talked about in Wangxinghai. In the eyes of the outside world, this is the manifestation of the prosperity of the Chen family. The Chen family not only has the top strongman like Chen Daoxian who suppressed the ethnic movement, but also a rising star like Chen Fusheng, which means that the Chen family has a continuous inheritance and a wealth of talents. Such emerging forces, as long as they are not stupid, no immortal clan would dare to offend. Chen Daoyan collected the auxiliary materials for refining the Qingmuding, many of which were not complete within the Chen family's sphere of influence, but she could easily collect all the auxiliary materials. Among them, the influence of the Chen family played a key role. If the Chen family is not well known in Wangxinghai, it is really not an easy task to collect these auxiliary materials. Even if the Chen family can collect it after untold hardships, it will definitely pay a lot more. The ability to watch people cook dishes is the unique skill of the various immortal clan forces in Wanxinghai. For example, the original Zhou family in Guang'an Prefecture, although the water spirit beads they produce are not of high rank, they have no background, so outsiders can't buy them. Chen Daoxian looked at Chen Fusheng, changed the conversation, and reminded, however, while the cultivation of qi is improving, don't forget to improve the cultivation of body. Hearing this, Chen Fusheng showed a smile on his face and cupped his hands. Don't worry, the patriarch, you will save your life. Hearing this, Chen Daoxian nodded reassuringly. Chen Fusheng has always been quite calm in the matter of cultivation, but he is very let down. Next, Chen Daoxian pointed out some doubts that Chen Fusheng encountered during his practice, and waved him away. Looking at Chen Fusheng's passing away, Chen Daoxian fell into contemplation. It seems that it is basically impossible to collect Aoki steel in the Phoenix meteor realm. His Chen family, for the time being, does not have the qualifications to compete with the Jiang family in Liangjiuan. Think of this. The space fluctuated gently like ripples on the water surface, and then Chen Daoxuan's figure disappeared. Sequoia Island. In a huge spiritual mansion. Inside the gazebo. A woman dressed in white fairy veil is sitting on a stone bench. Opposite her is a young woman wearing a lavender palace dress. These two fairies both have amazing beauty. The difference is that the woman in white fairy clothes has a graceful and calm temperament. The woman in the purple palace dress looked restrained and timid. These two were concubine Qinxue and Xiling from Izumo. Concubine Qinxue looked at Xiling quietly and said slowly, "Miss Xiling, what are your plans in the future?" Xiling was shocked. She lowered her head and said weakly, reporting sect master, "I don't know who my concubine is." Concubine Qinxue nodded, "You have a mysterious body of 9 yin, which is fatally attractive to all male cultivators in the world, so you have to find a big tree to rely on, or you can become one by yourself." Big tree. I don't know which kind of life Miss Xiling wants to choose. Hear this. Xiling suddenly raised her head and said firmly, "Sect master, I choose the second one." Say it. Xiling immediately knelt down to the concubine Qinxue, buried her head deeply on the ground, and said, "I beg the sect master to take it in." Concubine Qinxue waved her sleeves lightly, and Xiling stood up involuntarily. Seeing the beautiful woman in front of her who couldn't see the depth, Xiling became nervous again. She knew that her actions just now were very rash. As a female cultivator of Izumo, she actually wanted to become the disciple of the Qianyuan sword sect master. If she said it out, it would make people laugh out loud. Although she has a very rare spiritual body, the body of Join profound concubine. But in the cultivation world, there are too many monks with spiritual bodies. It is said that Yang Gongwan of Guang'an Mansion still has a water-moving spirit body, and it is not seen that Qianyuan Jianzong put it into the door wall. In the end, no matter how rare the spirit body is, as long as the mortal population under its jurisdiction is large enough, it can be found. As the ruler of Wan Xinghai, Qianyuan Jianzong, a disciple of the Gate Wall, must first consider the disciple's loyalty to the sect. For disciples of family monks like Yang Gongwan, Qianyuan Jianzong has been tight-lipped since the concubine Qinxue took power, and seldom recruited. Not to mention a woman like Xiling, who already had a cultivation base in Zifu and was born in the country of clouds. Just when Xiling felt desperate, concubine Chengshu's voice came into her ears again. "Have you thought about it? You want to worship me as your teacher?" Fei Chengshu's voice fell in Xiling's ears, like a fairy. She nodded immediately and said, "Disciple thinks about it," and asked the sect master to take it in. Saying that, he knelt down again. This time, Fei Qinxue did not continue to stop her. Xiling respectfully kowtowed 3 times towards concubine Qinxue. "Since you are willing to worship me as a teacher, I will accept you as a named disciple today." Concubine Qinxue paused. "Another day, I will personally hold an apprenticeship ceremony for you in the sect." As the suzerain of Qianyuan sword sect, Fei Qinxue, even accepting a named disciple is not a trivial matter. Thanks to concubine Chengshu's complete eradication of the power of Yi Yin's clan, and the restoration of the land of Yunghua, the power and prestige in Qianyuan Jianzong reached the peak of the previous suzerain. Otherwise, she will definitely be impeached countless times for recruiting Xiling, a woman from the Izumo country, as a disciple. But now, Fei Qinxue can completely decide this matter. The same suzerain, this is the difference. Although concubine Qinxue can't be like Chen Daoxian for the time being, everyone in the Chen family respects him like a god, but she is also a dictatorial suzerain. It is precisely because of this that she proposed to marry Chen Daoxian. Because as long as the two of them get married and give birth to an offspring, the Chen family and the Qianyuan sword sect will truly become one. At that time, the Qin family and Qianyuan Jianzong will become like the Xianqing Dao alliance, no, even more closely connected forces than the Xianqing Dao alliance. And only so. Fei Qinshuezai really dared to support Chen Daoxuan's plan to attack the real demon world without reservation. Otherwise, she would not dare. As the sect master of Qianyuan Sword Sect, she represents not only her, but also countless Qianyuan Sword Sect disciples, and even countless family forces, scattered cultivators, and Wan Xinghai countless mortals attached to Qianyuan Sword Sect. With so many burdens on her own, she has to be careful after saying this. The expression on Fei Chengshu's pretty face suddenly moved slightly. She lifted Ziling up again and said, "You should step back first." "Yes, master." Ziling changed his mouth. Watching Ziling leave, a figure instantly appeared in front of Fei Chenxue. It was Chen Daoxian. Seeing Chen Daoxian again, although Fei Chenxue had a graceful temperament, there was still a flash of red on her pretty face. But this shyness was quickly suppressed by her, but Chen Daoxian didn't find it. Chen Daoxian glanced at Ziling, who was far away, and cupped his hands. "Thank you, sect master, for helping me out." "You're welcome," I accepted her, "but it's not all for you." Ziling has a mysterious body of 9 yin, which is quite in line with my Qianyuan Sword Sect's other sect-level exercises. Having said that, but Chen Daoxian knew that Fei Chengshu's move was to relieve him. Although the Qin family is powerful, Chen Daoxian is indeed not very good at placing Ziling. It's not that the Qin family can't protect a female cultivator with a mysterious body, but Chen Daoxian can also see that there is something wrong with Ziling's eyes. Although he has no intention of men and women, he is not an idiot. Every time Ziling looked at him, her eyes seemed to melt. How could he not know? Including Fei Chengshu's direct disciple, Qi Yao, looked at him a little bit wrong. Chen Daoxian knew all this. But his mind was never on these things. Even if it was Luoli, if Luoli hadn't taken the initiative to break the layer of window paper between them, Chen Daoxian would only let this initial affection slowly fade away with the passage of time. Because since the day Chen Daoxian set foot on the road of cultivation, he has devoted all his energy to the important task of his own cultivation and the revitalization of his family. Where can there be any extra thoughts for the love of children? In fact, in this respect, he is very similar to Fei Chenxue. When concubine Chenxue took over the position of the sect master of Qianyuan Sword Sect, no matter whether it was strength or power, she could not stand firm in the sect. In the past 400 years, she not only had to deal with the internal enemies of the Qianyuan Sword Sect, but also faced the external enemy of the Xianqing Dao League. Moreover, she does not have Chen Daoxian's plug-in. So along the way, Fei Chenxue was much more difficult than Chen Daoxian. It's just that this kind of hardship can't be seen by outsiders at all. Outsiders can only see Fei Chengshu's aloofness as the suzerain of the Qianyuan Sword Sect. It is unclear how much she paid, planned, and forbeared in order to overturn and destroy Yi Yin's clan forces to recover the Kingdom of Clouds. These, Chen Daoxian can faintly see some of them. This is also one of the reasons why Fei Chenxue said that the two were married. She is willing to become a Taoist companion with Chen Daoxian, not only because of the needs of the two forces of the Chen family and Qianyuan Jianzong, but also because Chen Daoxian understands her. The so-called life is the most difficult to find a confidant. In Fei Chengshu's eyes, Chen Daoxian is the confidant who can understand her. The two looked at each other and looked away at the same time. The atmosphere between the two was a little charming. "Cough, I came here to ask the sect master something." Chen Daoxian coughed lightly to ease the embarrassment of the atmosphere. Seeing Chen Daoxian's appearance, Fei Chenxue covered her mouth and laughed lightly. "What's the matter?" Chen Daoxian said sternly, "I want to ask King Mugang about it." "Aoki steel?" Fei Chenxue frowned slightly. "Isn't this the main spiritual mine for refining Qingmu Ding? Why do you want it?" "The sect master knows the refining method of Aoki cauldron?" This time, Chen Daoxian was taken aback. "Of course I don't know." Fei Chenxue shook her head. "However, it's not a secret that the Jiang family wantonly collected Aoki steel in the Fengyun realm. It's almost a slightly bigger one. Cultivation forces all know. In addition, the Jiang family owns a treasure like Aoki Ding. Isn't the use of Aoki steel obvious?" It's Qin Daoxian smiled awkwardly seeing his appearance. Fei Qinxue looked at him with a pair of beautiful eyes, and said with a smile, "It's you. You don't really master the refining method of Aoki cauldron, right? Back then, you handed the Qingmu Ding over to Jiang Qingye so happily, but now that I think about it, there is indeed something wrong. As far as I know, your Qin family shouldn't have much fortune reserves, right?" Faced with this questioning, Qin Daoxian looked at Xiang Fichengsu and smiled without saying a word. "Never mind," Fei Qinxue waved her hand, "Qingmugang really doesn't exist in Fengyun realm, and even if there is, it's all in the hands of the Jiang family." Qin Daoxian gave up completely when he got this exact news. "If you really want to mine Aoki steel, only in the real demon world," Fei Qinxue added. 7017K. Chapter 4:16. With this, the problem is back to square one. Without the support of Qianyuan Jianzong, the Qin family would have to save for at least hundreds of years if they wanted to open up the real demon world. Because the development of the real demon world is not relying on Qin Daoxuan's power alone, but more relying on the huge forces under his command. Just like intelligence. The Qin family's information about the real demon world is almost blank. The Qin family doesn't even know who the main enemy of the demon court is. How to lay out in the real demon world? There are many similar problems. In short, without the support of Qianyuan Jianzong, it is almost impossible for Qin Daoxian to lay out the real demon world in a short time. Even if he breaks through to the Yuanqin stage now, he can't do it thinking of this. Qin Daoxian stretched out his hand and said, "I wonder if I might be fortunate enough to invite the sect master to come with me." Hearing this, Fei Chengshu's pretty face flushed slightly. She stretched out her white and tender plain hand and gently held Qin Daoxuan's palm. "My pleasure." The two of them looked at each other without saying anything. Finally, Qin Daoxian made his own choice. It is inevitable that the Qin family wants to truly unite with Qianyuan Jianzong and marry the concubine Qin Shui. No one can replace this. Whether it is Qin Daoxian marrying Qi Yao, a disciple of concubine Qin Shui, or Qin Fusheng marrying a direct disciple of Qianyuan Jianzong, it is impossible for the Qin family and Qianyuan Jianzong to be completely united. Only when he and Fei Qinxue combine, can these two behemoths unite. The two of them clasped their hands together lightly, and then slowly let go. Whether it is Qin Daoxian or concubine Qin Shui, they are both seniors with a high level of cultivation. The two of them have a long life expectancy, and they are not in a hurry when it comes to matters between men and women. On the contrary, whether it is Qin Daoxian or Fei Qinxue, they all want to cultivate a good relationship before marriage. It was because he and Fei Qinxue married for political purposes. So the two of them knew better that, to a certain extent, the future relationship between the Qin family and Qianyuan Jianzong would depend on his relationship with Fei Qinxue. If the relationship between the two is harmonious, the integration of the Qin family and Qianyuan Jianzong is bound to go smoothly in the future. If not, the Qin family and Qianyuan Jianzong may fall apart, or even turn against each other. Seeing Qin Daoxian make his own choice, Fei Qinxue looked at him with different eyes, and said softly, "What are you going to do? Don't lie to the sect master." Fei Qinxue shook her head, "You can just call my name." Hearing this, Qin Daoxian was stunned for a moment, and then he said, "Then, how about Gu calling you Shui'er?" Hearing this name that no one had ever called before, Fei Chengshu's pretty face blushed slightly, she nodded, and made a sound like a mosquito. "Okay." With the permission of Fei Qinxue, Qin Daoxian smiled and said, "Shui'er, this is what I think." Next, Qin Daoxian told concubine Qin Shui about his previous layout in the true immortal origin realm. Who knows that Fei Chengshu's face was quite surprised after hearing this. "You mean, when you were in the Zifu period, you already laid 2 chess pieces in the Qingqiu demon country?" "Right," Qin Daoxian nodded. "Not only that, Qi Tong and Qi Ling, the 2 big monsters, also brought back a Dao law at that time. With this credit, plus the two people's original Zifu peak cultivation base, it is estimated that the two have now been promoted to Jin Dan repaired it. The Qitong and Chiliang in Chen Daoxuan's mouth were the two Zifu-level world monsters who were enslaved by him with their soul imprints in the true immortal origin realm. Up to now, in Chen Daoxuan's sea of consciousness, there are still the imprints of the souls of two world demons. In other words, the other party did not break free from the of the soul imprint. Thinking about it too, although the secret technique of soul seal has lost its brilliance in the Phoenix Meteor realm with the decline of the Imperial Beast sect, it is, after all, a stunt of an ancient sect. How could it be so easy to be cracked by two Demon King level demons? If this is the case, then the momentum of the Imperial Beast sect will not be so huge. The Demon King of Jin Dan Cultivation Base, a hint of joy flashed on Fei Chengshu's face. There are only a few Demon Master level demons in the Qingqiu Demon Country, and the Demon King level demons are already a big demon on the side of the suppression side to the Qingqiu Demon Country. Hi wait. Unexpectedly, Chen Lang, you still have such a hand. It was just a fluke. Qin Daoxian smiled. Fei Chenxue glanced at him and said with a smile, since Chen Lang, you have made arrangements in the Qingqiu Demon Country, this time we will completely take down the four major demon kingdoms opposite the Wangxinghai Passage. The four great demon kingdoms? Qin Daoxian frowned. As far as he knew, the strength of the Qingqiu demon nation was not strong. Among the four major demon countries, it was only one step stronger than the extreme night demon nation. Whether it is the Great Yuan Demon Nation or the Lion and Camel Demon Nation, they are much stronger than the Qingqiu Demon Nation. This can be seen from the number of Demon Master-level demons in the two demon kingdoms of Dayuan and Shirtua. The most powerful Great Yuan Demon Nation, the Demon Lord-level World Demon alone, has more than double digits. As for the Lion and Camel Demon Country, there are fewer Demon Lord-level World Demons, but there are as many as a dozen. Only the Qingqiu Demon Nation and the Extreme Night Demon Nation had the fewest Demon Lord-level World Demons, and the Demon Lord-level World Demons they possessed were only single digits. If it wasn't for the threat of the Qianyuan Sword sect being faced by the four major demon kingdoms, the Qingqiu Demon Kingdom and the Extreme Night Demon Kingdom would have been divided up by the two demon kingdoms, Dayuan and Shirtua. Seeing that Qin Daoxian was very puzzled, concubine Qinxue said with a smile, of course it's the four major demon kingdoms, you wouldn't think that my Qianyuan Sword sect has only been sticking to the real demon world channel for so many years and did nothing. Hearing this, Qin Daoxian looked at her in shock, you mean? Concubine Qinxue nodded, like you, my Qianyuan Sword sect also has some key layouts in the Great Yuan Demon Country and the Lion Camel Demon Country. As soon as the time comes, I can easily control these two demon countries. In hand. Although compared. Even if the four demon kingdoms across the Wangxinghai Pass are united, they are far less powerful than the Qianyuan Sword sect. But Qin Daoxian didn't expect that the layout of Qianyuan Sword sect was so far-reaching, to the extent that it could change the course of the two strongest demon kingdoms, Dayuan and Shirtua. Thinking of this, Qin Daoxuan's expression suddenly cheered up, great, if we can take down the four major demon kingdoms and integrate them into one force, then we will have more bargaining chips to fight against the demon court. Who knows, Fei Chenxue shook her head, although the four major demon kingdoms are not weak, they can't even compare with a second-rate sect in Xianyansu. If you want to join the alliance against the demon court, you will probably get all the money you can get. There is very little right to speak, and we have to continue to expand our power, heard. Qin Daoxian nodded. He knew that what Fei Chenxue said was right, that the forces that could fight against the demon court were definitely the huge forces united by countless demon nations in the real demon world. If you want to gain a firm foothold in these forces and have enough power to speak, it is not enough if your strength is too weak. Qin Daoxian estimated that at least he had to have a force comparable to the first-class sect to occupy a place in the Anti-Monster Court Alliance. These are things to come later. Our goal this time is to completely conquer the four demon kingdoms, and by the way, we will collect greenwood steel to refine the greenwood cauldron. Hearing that the Qingmu Ding was being refined, Fei Chengshu's eyes first lit up, and then her beautiful eyes curved into two crescent moons. She knew that this was a manifestation of Qin Daoxuan's trust in her. The other party really knew the refining method of Aoki Cauldron. Although Fei Qinshui didn't know how Dao Qin Daoxian obtained this refining method, the fact that the other party could tell her the secret itself represented a kind of trust. And trust is slowly built up between the two. There is no trust in this world that can be achieved overnight. All trust is accumulated little by little. At least, she now has a good start with Qin Daoxian. The next day. Taizhou. The two figures secretly passed through the True Demon Realm passage in Taizhou. This is the second time Qin Daoxian has come here. The last time he passed through the Taizhou passage, he participated in the competition for the treasures in the True Immortal Origin Realm. Only this time, his goal is to completely control the four demon kingdoms. Pass through the real demon world channel in Taizhou. The first thing that catches the eye is still the majestic Weiyang Xianqing. Qin Daoxian came here in secret this time with concubine Qinxue. Since concubine Qinxue held the Qianyuan sword sect master token, the journey was naturally unimpeded. In addition, the two of them are both in the world realm, and if they really want to confront each other, the world monsters of the four major demon kingdoms are not necessarily the opponents of Qin Daoxian and Fei Qinxue. With such strength, Qin Daoxian and concubine Qinxue, who were both daring and talented, naturally did not intend to mobilize other true monarchs of nascent soul to pass through Weiyang Xianqing all the way. Qin Daoxian and Fei Qinxue have completely stepped into the realm of Qingqiu Demon Kingdom. This was the second time Qin Daoxian came to this place, and it was the first time for Fei Qinxue. The territory of Wan Xinghai is extremely vast, and there are so many channels in the real demon world of Wan Xinghai. As a concubine Qinxue, she is a small passage in Taizhou, so naturally she won't let her worry about it herself. In fact, for so many years, the Taizhou passage has been guarded by a Yuanying elder from the Taizhou Jiang family and Qianyuan Jianzong. Speaking of which, the main guard of Weiyang Xianqing is not even Qianyuan Jianzong, but the Jiang family in Taizhou. It can be seen that Qianyuan Jianzong did not care much about a small Taizhou channel. In the Qingqiu Demon Kingdom, high in the sky, a spirit boat flew quickly. On the spirit boat, Qin Daoxian and concubine Qinxue were in the same room. Seeing Qin Daoxian slowly withdrawing his energy, Fei Qinxue exclaimed, "Your body training method is really mysterious." Hearing this compliment, Qin Daoxian smiled bitterly and said, "Shui, are you trying to say that my Dutian demon god real body is too resource-intensive?" Seeing that the idea was exposed, Fei Qinxue smiled lightly and did not refute, "You don't know. Although this body training method is inherited from Wan Xinghai, I found that it is very different from other body training methods." "Oh, what's the difference?" Fei Qinxue put on a posture of listening intently. Qin Daoxian explained, "Normal body training exercises consume body training resources and improve body training, right?" Fei Qinxue nodded. "But the Dutian demon god real body that I practiced is different. Take the real body of Zhu Rong that I practiced as an example. It requires practitioners to ignite a group of demon fire that is paid by blood essence. The biggest benefit of this group of demon gods' fire is that it can quickly refine various body refining resources to quickly improve body refining cultivation." As he said that, under the control of Qin Daoxuan's mind, a dark gray flame floated out from his Tanzhong acupoint. If you look closely, you will find that the center of this dark gray flame has a little pure black color. It's just that this pure black flame is very small, and if you don't look carefully, you can't see it at all. But at the same time, this group of devil fire is also the culprit that devoured the body refining resources. Speaking of this, Qin Daoxian had a painful expression on his face. Over the past few days, Qin Daoxian has been training his body every day. With the support of the new body training method and sufficient body training resources, Qin Daoxuan's body training has improved by leaps and bounds. In less than 10 days, he has reached the peak of the blood-dripping realm. Only one step away, you can reach the state of initial integration into the real meaning of immortality. At this level, Chen Daoxuan's body-refining cultivation level completely surpassed his qi-refining cultivation level in the Jindan stage. At that time, his biggest shortcoming is not the lack of physical cultivation, but the low cultivation of qi. In the face of such a situation, Chen Daoxian should have been happy. But what makes him helpless is that the real body of Zhu Rong consumes too much resources for body refining. No, to be precise, it is the fire of the devil that consumes too much resources. Chen Daoxian never thought that the biggest consumption of cultivating Zhu Rong's real body is not the improvement of physical strength, but the improvement of the fire of the devil. The fire of the devil ignited by this group of hardships has actually become the biggest resource consumption item of Chen Daoxuan's cultivation so far. Just 10 days. All the blood marrow that Chen Daoxian brought back from the true immortal origin realm was swallowed up by it. Because the speed at which the fire of the devil devoured the blood marrow was too fast, Chen Daoxian had not even counted how many thousands of blood marrow it had swallowed. Just blindly filling. But this group of devil fire seemed to open its gluttonous mouth and devoured all the blood and marrow. Although the essence that was fed back during the period made his body refinement reach the peak of the blood-dripping realm. But if other body training methods, so much blood marrow, let alone one person's body training level can be raised to the peak of the blood-dripping realm, it is enough to raise 100 people. However, Chen Daoxian, who cultivated Zhu Rong's real body, could only improve his physical cultivation to the peak of the blood-dripping realm. This resource utilization rate is simply appallingly low. No matter how wealthy Chen Daoxian was, he still didn't want to do it. Of course, the only good thing about this body training method is that the body training speed is very fast. Compared with the previous, dragon python swallowing heaven art, the training speed is hundreds of times faster. Seeing Chen Daoxuan's expression a little helpless, concubine Chen Xue on the side comforted her. Chen Lang, please don't underestimate this practice, perhaps, your demon fire has power that you can't imagine. Xue, did you see something? Chen Daoxian asked quickly. Well, look at this black flame. Fei Chenxue pointed at the pure black flame at the very center of the dark gray flame. If I guessed correctly, if you continue refining and devouring the blood marrow, this dark gray flame will completely transform into a black flame. But what's the use of this? Chen Daoxian was very puzzled. Although the power of this demonic fire is great, it can at most threaten Jindan cultivators, and even nascent soul cultivators can ignore it. You can't say that. Concubine Chen Xue shook her head. Chen Lang, think about it, you have only practiced such a technique for a few days, and you can obtain a flame that can threaten Jindan cultivator. If the resources are sufficient, wouldn't it be possible to threaten the nascent soul cultivator in a few days? What if you practice for several years or decades? Hearing this, Chen Daoxian was shocked, but his expression loosened again. But how much resources will it take to consume? Fei Chenxue gently held Chen Daoxuan's hand and said warmly, Chen Lang, didn't you say, the resources of the real demon world are endless, and you will definitely be able to elevate your demon fire to an unprecedented level. Hearing this comfort, Chen Daoxuan's irritable mood seemed to be eased by a pair of small hands. He held the opponent's small hand gently, and said nothing. 7017K. Chapter 417. Wanyao City. The capital of the Qingqiu Demon Kingdom. As the capital of the Qingqiu Demon Nation, the city of 10,000 demons is just like its name, where 10,000 demons are entrenched. Although the Qingqiu Demon Country is a demon country dominated by the Qingqiu Demon Fox, it does not mean that the entire Qingqiu Demon Country has only one kind of world demon, the demon fox. In the Qingqiu Demon Nation, there are many other types of demons, especially 10,000 Demon City, which can be called a dance of demons. Get out of the way. You're looking for death on the road. On a street in Wanyao City. A burly and demon-headed demon fox in the Zifu passed through the street. shouting loudly. Behind him is a team that can't see the end. It is worth mentioning that the escorts in this team are all ordinary humans wearing handcuffs and shackles. Most of these human races are women, and if you look closely, these women are not very old, very young. But the expressions on their faces were all the same, extremely numb. The world monsters on both sides of the street heard the shouts of the leader of the Zifu fox monster, and hurriedly moved out of the way, daring not to offend at all. A Zifu fox demon in the capital of the Qingqiu demon country, although it is not an absolute powerhouse, but its identity is different, it is the Qingqiu demon fox clan. In the Qingqiu demon nation, world demons of other races would not dare to offend the Qingqiu demon fox clan. These are the newly raised blood food in 10,000 demon city, right? Among the demon group, a bloated world demon with a toad head and a bloated body looked at the long team of human race women, his eyes were shining, and his saliva was drooling. Right beside him, a snake clan demon nodded, its vertical pupils were full of coldness. These good blood food must be used by Qingqiu to entertain the envoys of the demon court. You mean? The rumors are true, the Qingqiu demon nation wants to take refuge in the demon court. The snake world demon said coldly. Although it is not the royal family of the Dayuan demon nation, but it is also a snake clan demon, its favorable impression of the Dayuan demon nation is definitely higher than that of the Qingqiu demon nation. The recent turmoil in the demon court is so huge, as a member of the real demon world, it is impossible for the demons at the bottom to not pay attention. Although they, the low-level demons, can't control the situation in the real demon world. But as a snake clan demon, it must support the Great Yuan demon country, which is also a snake clan demon. The Great Yuan demon nation is clearly opposed to the demon court. In fact, this behavior of the Great Yuan demon nation is also easy to explain, as the most powerful of the four surrounding demon nation. The Dayuan demon nation is hundreds of thousands of miles in radius, and it is simply an overlord-level existence. As a hegemon, who wants to have multiple fathers on his head? Even if this father's strength is many times stronger than that of the Great Yuan Yaogua. As the team progressed, the world monsters on both sides of the street pointed at the team. The Qingqiu fox demon, who was headed by him, didn't mind either, and let them talk in a low voice. The lord of the Qingqiu demon country is about to join the demon court, which is not a secret in the Qingqiu demon country. The blood food of these young human women, just as other world demons have discussed, is used by the Qingqiu king to entertain the demon court envoys. As long as it sends these blood food to the palace of the Qingqiu king, and does further processing, it can be presented to the Yaoting envoy. All the way. Soon, the palace of the king of Qingqiu was faintly visible. Although the Qingqiu demon nation was established by the Qingqiu demon clan, the level of civilization of the realm demons was obviously much lower than that of the human cultivators. This can be seen from the architectural style of their palaces. Although the place where the Qingqiu king lives is called a palace, in fact, it is a huge lair. And this lair has no beauty at all, but is extremely and bloody. The only commendable thing is that its area is large enough and sturdy enough. In front of the Qingqiu king's palace, a group of Qingqiu demon foxes wearing armor and holding swords are looking at the team that is slowly approaching them. These Qingqiu demon foxes are the guards of the Qingqiu king's palace. Coincidentally, these guard commanders were none other than Qin Daoxuan's spiritual pet, Qi Tong. Compared with the time when the true immortal origin realm was separated, Qi Tong's aura was even more terrifying, and its cultivation base, as Qin Daoxian had guessed, had been promoted to the realm of the Demon King. Only when he reaches the realm of the Demon King can he serve as the guard commander of the Qingqiu King's palace. Stop! The leader who escorted the blood food turned around and waved, and the team slowly stopped. Upon seeing this, the leader who escorted the blood food trotted forward, bowed his head in front of Qi Tong, and said respectfully, "Leader Qi Tong, the new batch of blood food that the country lord needs has been delivered." Okay. Qi Tong glanced at the crowd with long eyes, and the disgust in his eyes flashed away. As a spiritual pet engraved with a soul imprint by Chen Daoxian, Qi Tong's thoughts will be influenced by the soul imprint and move closer to Chen Daoxian himself. Now that I see a large number of human women being treated as blood food by world demons, how can I not feel disgusted? But no matter how disgusted, Qi Tong can do nothing at this time. Because this batch of blood food was dedicated to the demon court envoy by the Qingxiu king, Qi Tong wanted to save them, unless they exchanged their lives. And in the hinterland of 10,000 Monsters City, even if it trades its life, I am afraid it can only save it for a while. Say it again. The policies implemented by the Qingxiu Demon Nation and the Dayuan Demon Nation are completely different. The Dayuan Demon Nation adopted a policy of stocking the blood and food of the human race, that is, allowing ordinary humans to build cities and courts. Let the ordinary human race manage themselves, and even, the Dayuan Yaogua also took the initiative to provide the human race with the method of body refining, and then, the Dayuan Yaogua regularly harvested the strong body refiners born in these human race cities, and euphemistically called it, slaying monsters. General Assembly. The Qingxiu Demon Nation is different. They treat human blood and food more simply and rudely, that is, pure breeding. Just like this batch of human women who just arrived, they were raised by the Qingxiu Demon Nation since childhood. Even if Qi Tong can save the group in front of him, there are still more human blood food in 10,000 Monster City and even the entire Qingxiu Monster Nation. How much can it save? From the outside, although these human race women can walk, they have lost the ability to speak. In other words, they can't even speak, and they are completely reduced to two-legged sheep for the world monsters to eat. In the real world of demons, breeding ordinary humans is the most common way for world monsters to obtain blood food. As for the Great Yuan Demon Kingdom, it is very rare to build a country specifically for the human race, and then harvest it regularly. It is worth mentioning that among the 4 nearby demon nations, the Lion and Camel Demon Nation obtains blood food in the same way as the Dayuan Demon Nation. Only the Qingxiu Demon Nation and the Extreme Night Demon Nation adopted traditional farming methods. In the void, Chen Daoxian and Fei Qinxue, who were hiding their figures, were staring coldly at the scene in front of them. Now, Chen Daoxian's way of looking at things has changed a lot from before. He turned his head to look at Fei Qinxue and asked, the way the Dayuan Demon Nation and the Lion and Camel Demon Nation treat ordinary humans was created by the Qianyuan sword sect? That's right, Fei Qinxue nodded, just this method can only reduce the deaths of ordinary humans, and it cannot change the tragic fate of the human race's body-refining powerhouse becoming a world demon blood-eater. Hearing this, Chen Daoxian sighed and said, the world is so powerful that you can save most of the ordinary human race. You have done a good job. Chen Daoxian still doesn't understand that the reason why the Dayuan Demon Kingdom and the Lion Camel Demon Kingdom use the method of regularly harvesting the top human race body refining powerhouses is precisely what Qianyuan Jianzong secretly came up with. At that time, he also felt that the human race living in the Great Yuan Demon Nation was so miserable that it could even be called darkness. But seeing these two-legged sheep in Qingxiu Demon Country, he knew that he could save so many ordinary human races, and Qianyuan Jianzong did not know how much he paid silently. Thinking of this, Chen Daoxian firmly believed in his heart that the decision of the Chen family to join forces with Qianyuan Jianzong was not wrong. Look at this cruel scene in front of you. Chen Daoxian no longer concealed himself, but with a flash, he suddenly appeared in front of Qi Tong and the Zifu fox demon who was responsible for escorting the blood of the human race. Lord! Master! Although Chen Daoxian had not been seen for many years, Qi Tong recognized him at a glance with the connection of the soul imprint. This kind of intimacy in the soul cannot be erased. Hearing Qi Tong calling an unfamiliar human race cultivator as the master, the fox demon guard next to him and the fox demon in the purple house who was in charge of escorting the blood food were all stunned. Commander Qi Tong actually called a human cultivator the master. Their first reaction was that the leader of Qi Tong had betrayed. The Zifu fox demon who was in charge of escorting the blood food reacted the fastest. When he saw Chen Daoxian, he was only a little stunned, and then he wanted to fly towards the palace of the lord of the Qingqiu demon kingdom. From its point of view, it is so close to the country lord entertaining the demon court envoy. As long as it makes a little movement, several demon lord level powerhouses will rush out and take down the strange human race monk in front of him. The real demon realm and the Phoenix Meteor realm have been hostile for so long, and the real demons are no strangers to human monks. Especially the Qingqiu demon and the Boundary demon. Because within the Qingqiu demon kingdom, there is a fairy city built by human monks, Weiyang Xiancheng. For hundreds of years, the human monks have dealt with the demons of the Qingqiu demon country countless times. Not to mention, in the recent melee in the real immortal source world, the 4 big demon kingdoms did not know how many Zifu big demons were damaged. And these were all given by the monks of the human race. These thoughts flashed through the mind of the Zifu great demon like lightning. Boom! The next moment, it slammed its head into an invisible wall. The world demon had rough skin and thick flesh. Although it slammed into the space barrier condensed by the space cage, the Zifu demon fox did not suffer any damage, but climbed up in horror. Just when it was still in shock, another woman in a white fairy dress appeared in front of it. Two. The purple mansion fox demon wanted to release the projection of the source realm, but found that its source realm was firmly suppressed in the body by a terrifying force and could not be used at all. At this moment, the Zifu fox demon was completely desperate. However, during the whole process, Chen Daoxian didn't even look at each other, just waved his hand lightly, and a dark gray flame passed through the body of each Zifu demon fox. The power of this dark gray flame is terrifying, and every time it passes through a Zifu demon fox, it burns it into nothingness, and not even the scum is left. Aside. Qi Tong stared blankly at the scene in front of him, and found that it had not been seen for more than 10 years, and Chen Daoxuan's strength had made it somewhat incomprehensible. If it is said that in the real fairy source world, it can roughly figure out Chen Daoxuan's strength level, but now Chen Daoxian is a fog in its eyes, and it is not clear at all. Fei Chenxue didn't pay attention to Qi Tong, but looked at Chen Daoxian and exclaimed, "Chen Lang, you devil fire has more power than I imagined. I am afraid that among the cultivators of the Jin Dan stage, few can resist." Hearing this, Chen Daoxuan's previous depression about the fire of the devil was relieved a lot. Spending a lot of body refining resources to get a spirit fire secret technique is not a disadvantage. Moreover, it seems that this spirit fire secret technique can still be continuously improved. The only thing that hurts the most is that upgrading this spirit fire secret technique is too terrifying for the consumption of body refining resources. If there is no real demon world, Chen Daoxian will directly give up practicing this body training method. Because Chen Daoxian is very clear, with the resources of Feng Yunji's body training, it is easy to say when his body training is low. By the time he cultivated to the point where he was able to incorporate the indestructible true meaning, and even condense the indestructible true body, the body refining resources of the Phoenix Meteor realm alone would not be enough for him to consume. The body refining resources in the Phoenix Meteor realm are already lacking, and this is no secret at all. Chen Daoxian still remembers that when he auctioned Dragon Python Swallowing Heaven at the Guang'an House auction, no one even competed with him. Because what is lacking in the Fengyun world is not the body refinement exercises, but the body refinement resources. Chen Daoxian was deeply touched by this point in his later body refining practice. When the cultivator's body training is low, most of them use spiritual rice to improve their body training. There are high and low levels of spiritual rice, but the spiritual rice with the highest rank can generally only improve the cultivator's body refinement to the realm derived from flesh and blood. After that, these so-called high-level spiritual meters gradually lost their effectiveness. After arriving at the flesh derivative realm, the most helpful resource for the cultivator's body refinement is the blood crystal. When you use blood crystals to reach the blood-dropping realm, you need to replace another more precious body-refining resource, blood marrow. As for the immortal black diamond behind, there is no need to say how precious it is. In the Phoenix meteor realm, whether it is blood crystals, blood marrow, or the true meaning of immortality, there is no such thing. Human monks want to obtain these, only to them in the real demon world. Whether it is through the real monster world channel like Wan Xinghai, or directly through the battlefield outside the two worlds, you can obtain these resources that are not precious in the eyes of the world monster. As for the resources that the world monsters robbed, it may not be noticeable in the eyes of the human race cultivators, that is, ordinary mortals. Before the real demon world and the Phoenix meteor world merged, there was no human race in the real demon world. The reason why there are so many human blood food in the real demon world today is that they were all plundered from the Phoenix meteor world and then multiplied. Only hundreds of thousands of years have passed. The monks in the Phoenix meteor realm almost forgot about this history, and they also forgot these ordinary human races that grew up after being robbed by the real demon realm. Even in the eyes of some extreme cultivators, these can't speak, like a walking dead world demon blood food, not worthy of being a human race with them. Not happy for long. When Qin eyes once again touched the group of numb human women in front of him, his brows furrowed deeply. The world demon, I'll be damned, he said coldly. Fei Qinxue silently held Qin Daoxuan's palm without speaking. Qin Daoxian turned his head and glanced at her, then looked at Qi Tong, and said coldly, Qi Tong, do you know the guilt? Master, spare your life, Qi Tong is guilty. Qi Tong hurriedly knelt down. Get up. Qin Daoxian raised his head, he knew in his heart that with Qi Tong's strength, he could not save these people at all. Thank you, Master. Akatsuki stood up tremblingly. Tell me about this demon court envoy. Yes. 7017K. Chapter 418. You mean, this messenger sent by the demon court, let the lord of the Qingqiu demon kingdom take a grand look? Qin Daoxian frowned after hearing Qi Tong's story. Master, that's exactly what it is. Qi Tong respectfully. Chen Lang, what's the matter? On the side, concubine Qin Xue, who did not know why, looked at Qin Daoxian suspiciously. Qin Daoxian knew very well that although Fei Qinxue was the suzerain of Qianyuan sword sect, she had never met the world demon of Qingqiu demon country, let alone dealt with the emperor of Qingqiu demon country. But Qin Daoxian had a relationship with the lord of the Qingqiu demon kingdom. Back then, Qin Zhan brought their cultivators from the Purple Mansion and Foundation stage to participate in the competition for the Dao Law of the true immortal origin realm. Qin Daoxian had witnessed Qin Zhan briefly confronting the lord of the Qingqiu demon kingdom. At that time, Qin Daoxuan's strength was still shallow, and he didn't know the power of this Qingqiu demon king. But now that I think about it, with Qin Zhan's strength close to the real monarch of the world at that time, the lord of the Qingqiu demon kingdom can compete with him, and he must also be a powerhouse at the top real monarch level. This kind of powerhouse actually treats this demon court messenger grandly, proving that the strength of this demon court messenger is definitely not under the lord of the Qingqiu demon country. Even the other party is very likely to be a world demon at the level of a real king in the world. The cultivation path of the world monster is different from that of the human monks, but as long as the world monster understands the three Dao laws and can integrate them, they can enter the level equivalent to the real monarch of the world of human monks. In this regard, the world demon is almost exactly the same as the human monk. Moreover, since the origin of the world monster is the inner world, the power of the world monster is even stronger than that of the human race monks at the same level. Of course, human cultivators possess magical tools and various secret techniques, which is incomparable to world monsters. This, in general, after the world demon and the human cultivator reached the nascent soul stage, the difference in basic strength was very small. Facing Fei Chengxi's doubts, Qin Daoxian briefly explained to her. So, this demon court envoy is very likely to be a world realm demon master. Well, you thought about it with me. Chen Daoxian nodded. The two of them did not expect that they had planned to secretly recover the small Qingqiu demon kingdom, but they encountered a powerhouse of the same level. I just don't know, what layer of the world is this envoy of the demon court? Chen Daoxian thought for a while. No matter how many layers it is in the world, it's not the third layer in the world, right? Impossible. Fei Chenxue shook her head. On the third floor of the world, it is necessary for the monks to recreate the earth's feng shui and fire to recreate the vitality of the world. Let's not talk about the sun in the Xianhuang world. With your current cultivation level, you can't solve it at all. This is the same for demon lord level world demons. Concubine Chengshu's meaning is very straightforward. The three layers of the world are all the realms of the Tao that can only be touched by the Yuanshan Dao Jun. From ancient times to the present, I have never heard of any nascent soul cultivator who can reach the third level of the world realm. Actually, there are only a handful of nascent soul cultivators who can reach the second floor of the world realm. The reason is very simple. Generally, after reaching the first level of the world realm, Yuaning cultivators are qualified to break through the Yuanshan stage. At this time, the Yuaning cultivator will definitely choose to break through the Yuanshan stage with all his strength, instead of suppressing his cultivation, to promote the Tao realm to the second layer of the world realm. Because compared to breaking through to the second floor of the world, breaking through to the primordial spirit stage first, both in strength and life essence, will be greatly improved. Moreover, once the cultivator becomes the Yuanshan Dao Jun, he will soon be able to raise the Tao realm to the second layer of the world realm or even the third layer of the world realm. This is not at all difficult to decide. For almost all nascent soul cultivators, if they have the opportunity to break through their cultivation, they will definitely choose to give priority to breaking through their cultivation, rather than suppressing their cultivation and breaking through the realm of the Great Tao. Like Chen Daoxian and Fei Chenxue, the cultivation base is only in the nascent soul stage or even the golden core stage, but the Tao realm has reached the second level of the world realm, which is very rare. In addition to his amazing talent, Jiang Qingye can do this, and there is another important reason. He is a member of the Jiang family of the ancient immortal clan. If it weren't for this, Jiang Qingye's talent alone would not be comparable to Qin Zhan and Fei Chenxue, let alone Chen Daoxian. After listening to Fei Chengshu's words, Chen Daoxuan's heart relaxed slightly. As long as it's not a demon master on the second floor of the world, it's fine. Although Chen Daoxian and Fei Chenxue joined forces, they would not be afraid of the demon master on the second floor of the world, but it was almost impossible to capture it. Capturing a strong man of the same level alive is much more difficult than beheading the opponent. The purpose of Chen Daoxian and Fei Chenxue was to secretly control the four major demon kingdoms, not to let the demon court find out that there were cultivators in the real demon world. If the demon court envoy is released, Chen Daoxuan's next plans will be in vain. Chen Daoxian had to guard against this. Too late will cause chaos, let's do it together. It is good. Fei Chenxue nodded. She knows that now is not the time to hesitate, so she will take down the demon court messenger first. In the hideous and terrifying world demon lair. A terrifying existence, one by one, is sitting in the spacious hall, eating and drinking. It's just that the food they eat and drink is simply appalling in the eyes of the human race monks. Below, the demons of the Qingqiu demon fox clan put each young woman into a stone bowl with a diameter of about 10 feet. In front of this stone bowl sits a monster with wings on its back and a pointed mouth with golden eyes. This is a Jinpeng world monster. Jinpeng world demon watched the stone bowl gradually fill with food, and his face gradually showed impatience. It raised its head, looked at the king of Qingqiu who was sitting in its starting position, and snorted coldly, "The king of Qingqiu, have you considered it?" The envoy ceases his anger. The lord of the Qingqiu demon kingdom kept his attitude low. "I'm blunt, although the demon court is powerful now, it is not a simple matter to unify the real demon world, and there must be countless demon nations opposed to this matter. Nonsense, if there is no objection from the demon kingdom, do you think this seat still needs to come to you as a lobbyist in person? Having said that, the Jinpeng world demon saw that the stone bowl in front of him was filled with blood, and immediately stretched out his golden claws, grabbed the corner of the stone bowl, and lifted the entire stone bowl. In the stone bowl, at least hundreds of young women were swallowed by it. These hundreds of human race women, the closer they got to the corner of its mouth, as if they had been subjected to a reduction technique, they became the size of sugar pills, and were swallowed by the Jinpeng monster. After eating hundreds of human women in one bite, the Jinpeng world demon slapped his mouth in satisfaction, and his expression finally relaxed a bit. See. The king of Qingqiu looked happy, and immediately scolded a demon king who was serving by the side. Is the blood food you prepared for the ambassador ready? This. The demon king was stunned when asked. Qitong commander is in charge of this matter, and his subordinates will rush it. Having said that, he hurried to the outside of the hall. Before he could step out of the hall, a dark gray flame passed through its chest. Immediately afterwards, its fleshy body, which was comparable to the blood-dripping realm, melted little by little. The demon king looked at the two human monks in front of him in horror, and wanted to open his mouth to say something, but found that he couldn't even say a complete sentence. God is dead. Who? In the main hall, the Qingqiu king suddenly stood up. But when it saw Chen Daoxian and concubine Chen Xue, the expression on its face changed suddenly. World realm real monarch. The Qingqiu demon nation is a long way from Liangjiuan, and it is extremely difficult and dangerous for human cultivators to fly all the way from the battlefield outside Liangjiuan. The only possibility is that these two came through the Wangxinghai passage. The demon lord Qingqiu carefully looked at Chen Daoxian and Fei Chen Xue, and desperately searched for a strong man in the sea of stars who could match these two. A long time, King Qingqiu stretched out a finger, pointed at concubine Chen Xue, and said tremblingly, You are the sect master of Qianyuan sword sect? You. Concubine Chen Xue was not surprised when she saw that the other party recognized her. There are only a few of Wan Xinghai's top true monarch-level powerhouses. Since Qianyuan Jianzong can penetrate the four major demon kingdoms, the demon masters and kings of the four major demon kingdoms can naturally collect information on the powerhouses of Wangxinghai. It's just that compared to the intelligence work of the Qianyuan sword sect Shadow Hall, the intelligence of the four demon nations is far behind. So much so that the king of Qingqiu only recognized Fei Chen Xue, but knew nothing about the young cultivator beside her. The only thing it is certain is that this young monk is not Qin Zhan. Because it knew Qin Zhan and had played against each other, the young male cultivator in front of him was obviously not Qin Zhan. Who is he holding? Just when the king of Qingqiu was in shock, another demon king in the hall had a turbulent wave in his heart at this moment. Qiliang, what's wrong with you? A beautiful woman turned her head and asked. This glamorous woman is also sitting on a huge stone bench. Obviously, this is also a demon master-level powerhouse from the Qingqiu demon nation. At this time, Fei Chen Xue came in person. Although Qi Lin felt nervous, she was not too frightened. Because she knows that the Jinpeng demon lord in the hall is also a world realm demon lord, and in terms of strength, it is not inferior to the world realm true monarch. Speaking of which, their Qingqiu demon nation has a really good luck. If there is no demon court messenger here today, just relying on their few demon masters, if they want to survive under the hands of the Qianyuan sword sect master, I am afraid they will not be able to do it. No, nothing. Qi Ling hurriedly lowered her head, her heart beating violently. She originally thought that what happened in the true immortal origin realm was just a nightmare for her, but she did not expect that the nightmare is now chasing after her. Moreover, the strength of her master has improved too fast. You must know that due to her and Qi Tong's great deeds, she was rewarded with a lot of treasures by the Qingqiu king, which raised her strength to the realm of a demon king. But it's only been so many years, and the change in the master's strength is many times better than her and Qi Tong. Thinking of this, Qi Ling couldn't help trembling. But under the influence of the soul imprint, Qi Ling became calm again, and felt that Chen Daoxian was extremely kind. Compared to Chen Daoxian, the ancestor Jilin in front of her was her enemy. The scarlet-scaled demon king couldn't care about Qiliang. After she asked Qiliang casually, she focused all her thoughts on the field. On the field. Demon Lord Jinpeng stood up abruptly, his gloomy eyes first glanced at Chen Daoxian and Fei Chenxue. Then, without saying a word, he turned around and ran away. Want to run? Chen Daoxian sneered. The next moment, I saw a spherical array of light curtains, covering the entire radius of 100 miles. 7th order mid-grade formation method, 19 palaces must be formed for a moment. As soon as he made his move, Chen Daoxian took out the magic weapon that he pressed at the bottom of the box. Aside, Fei Chengxu's movements were not slow at all, and she directly took out a golden bronze bell. It is the treasure of Qianyuan Jianzong Shinzong, the Emperor Yu Bell. A 7th order mid-grade magic weapon, and a pure yang fairy weapon. This demon master, who was only at the first level of the world, suddenly showed despair in his eyes. Less than half a cup of tea. The Jinpeng demon lord was trapped in a space cage by Chen Daoxian. On the periphery of this space cage, is a miniature star kendo map, and around the star kendo map, there is also a fan price formation flag, which is the array flag of the Jiugong Shui formation. The triple suppression, the Jinpeng demon lord, was stubbornly suppressed in the space cage. Fei Chenxue looked at the space cage with Chen Daoxian's palm like a glass ball, and the doll-like figure of the Jinpeng demon master in the space cage, and asked, "What are you going to do with it?" Chen Daoxian thought for a while. First lock it in the Xianhuang realm. Fine. Fei Chenxue also knew that now is not the time to kill this demon court messenger, at least not now. As a result, the Jinpeng demon master must know a lot of information about the demon court. Second, Chen Daoxian was worried about killing the other party. Although the world demon is not good at refining magic tools, it is not difficult to make magic tools such as soul cards. Chen Daoxian didn't believe that Yaoting was so powerful that he didn't even have the soul card of the messenger sent out. Suppressing the only world realm demon lord on the field, the remaining 4 demon lords, only Qingqiu country lord is the top true monarch level, and the other demon lords only have the strength of the late nascent soul. With this power, in front of Chen Daoxian and Fei Chenxue, there was not even a little room for resistance, and he was directly captured by the two of them. In the territory of the Qingqiu Demon Kingdom, plus the Qingqiu Kingdom Lord, there are a total of 4 demon lords, all of which are being swept away by Chen Daoxian and Fei Chenxue. Deprived of the 5 senses. Seeing Chen Daoxian trapping the 4 demon masters with space cages, Fei Chenxue simply performed a secret technique called deprivation of the 5 senses. First suppressed by the space cage, and then deprived of the 5 senses. The 4 demon masters of the Qingqiu demon nation were instantly cut off from all connections with the outside world. As long as Chen Daoxian and Fei Chenxue do not let go of the restrictions, these 4 can only sink forever in the dark. After suppressing a world realm demon master, a top demon master and 3 ordinary demon masters, Chen Daoxian did not intend to let other realm monsters in the hall go. The dark gray flame is like an elf, jumping continuously on the monsters. Every time it jumps, a flame is ignited out of thin air. What? Don't want. For a while, screams continued in the hall. One after another flames burned out of thin air, and then, the dark gray flames burned all the demons into nothingness. Finally, this dark gray flame hovered in front of a demon fox with 3 tails and a face very similar to a human woman. This demon fox woman is Qi Ling, owner. Qi Ling knelt down trembling, the fear in her heart was 3 points better than Qi Tong. 7017K. Chapter 419. Xianhuang World. 2 white figures suddenly appeared. Fei Chenxue raised her head, looked at this barren world, and said, "This is the world you created?" Okay, Chen Daoxian nodded. I didn't have enough spiritual knowledge and Dao domain back then, and the world I created was inherently a little narrow, but it made you laugh at Shuai. Fei Chenxue shook her head. The inadequacy of the world can be supplemented by the power of good fortune. This is nothing but it. Fei Chenxue stretched out a finger and pointed to several laws in the high sky entangled with each other, the formation of the illusory sun. The sun star is the core of a world. If you want to repeat the feng shui fire and recreate the vitality of the world, it is necessary to turn it from virtual to real. Speaking of this, Fei Chenxue smiled. Of course, these will have to be considered after your cultivation has reached the primordial spirit stage. Chen Daoxian smiled casually. Let's go and see our guests. It is good. The most central position of the Xianhuang realm. A Jinpeng world demon with a wingspan of dozens of feet was stubbornly suppressed. Around Jinpeng, a star map kept spinning, and around the star map, there were several array flags. At this moment, the Jinpeng world demon has recovered its true body. Seeing the arrival of Chen Daoxian and the two, Jinpeng world demon's golden pupils showed a brutal and bloodthirsty look. Human monks, you are all dead. The Jinpeng world demon confronted Chen Daoxian through space barriers and layers of suppression. If we die, fellow Taoists don't have to worry about it. Chen Daoxian looked at it indifferently. It's you, fellow Taoist, do you want to take a walk on the Demon Slayer platform? Hearing the words, Monster Slayer Terrace, Jinpeng world demon suddenly changed color. The Demon Slayer Terrace is Xingtai in Tianzhuan City, a place with a dignified reputation for slaughtering world demons. For countless years, in the extraterritorial battlefield of Liangjiuan, I don't know how many world demons have been captured and killed on the demon-slaying platform. Human cultivator, even if I die, Yaoting will not let you go. The demon court. Chen Daoxian sneered. Yaoting, a little Jindan cultivator, really can't afford to provoke me, but you, a world realm demon lord, can represent Yaoting? Hearing this, the Jinpeng world demon suddenly changed color. Indeed, in front of the lord of the Qingqiu demon kingdom, it is indeed the envoy of the demon court, but in fact, the Jinpeng world demon knows his own affairs. Where is it, the special envoy of Yaoting? It is just an insignificant demon lord level world demon under Yaoting. With its strength, it doesn't even have the right to speak in the demon court. This time, it ran all the way, privately recruiting major demon countries, and just wanted to make merits in exchange for resources to advance to the cultivation base. Seeing that his mind was seen through by Chen Daoxian, the Jinpeng world demon admitted and said, Human monk, what do you want to catch me but not kill? Tell me about the demon court. Don't think about it. The Jinpeng world demon said bitterly, even if I die, I will never betray the demon court. Hearing this, Chen Daoxian and concubine Chenxue looked at each other. The next moment, countless space-sharp blades slashed towards the wings of the Jinpeng world demon. Ding ding ding. Accompanied by a crisp sound, the Jinpeng world monster giggled strangely. Human monk, are you tickling this seat? Seeing this, Chen Daoxian couldn't help frowning. The fleshly body is too strong, and he has no good means of criminal law for a while. If you attack with all your strength, you can injure or even kill it, but this process is too fast and will not cause much pain to it, so it will not achieve the purpose of torture. Seeing that Chen Dao's profound skills were poor, concubine Chenxue on the side stepped forward and said, Let me try it, it is good. Chen Daoxian stepped aside and signaled the opponent to do something. Concubine Chenxue kept pinching the spirit art with her hands, and after a full incense stick, she softly said, 5 thunders devouring the heart curse. I saw a flash of thunder light flashing from her hand, and then, the thunder light jumped onto the Jinpeng world demon and disappeared. Just when Chen Daoxian thought that this method was ineffective against the Jinpeng realm demon, the other party broke out with a heart-piercing scream, this. Chen Daoxian stared blankly at concubine Chenxue. Fei Chenxue explained with a smile, this is the 5 thunders heart-devouring mantra of the Shadow Palace, which is a kind of secret technique of attacking the soul. The most amazing thing about this technique is that it does not confront the enemy's consciousness head-on, but uses the lightning's secret technique, attack the enemy spirit. Of course, the biggest disadvantage of this method is that the preparation time is too long, so it cannot be used in the fighting method, and can only be used to extract confessions by torture. Chen Daoxian nodded. It will take a stick of incense to cast the 5 thunders of the heart-devouring mantra. Which of the cultivators is not between lightning and flint, who can stand there still and let you do it? While the two of them were talking, Jinpeng World Demon couldn't hold it anymore. The golden pupils began to dilute gradually, which was a sign of the collapse of the soul. Not good. Hurry up. Chen Daoxian hurriedly said. Fei Chenxue hurriedly pinched the magic art and put away the secret art. About half a cup of tea, the Jinpeng World Demon regained consciousness. It's just that compared to the arrogance just now, the breath of the Jinpeng World Demon has declined many times at this moment, and it looks like it's dying. Hey, little human doll, there is a kind of, you kill me. Seeing the other party so arrogant, Chen Daoxian's brows and hearts beat wildly. Concubine Chenxue also frowned, and I have to say that this beast is not only cruel, but also has a very hard mouth. Neither Fei Chenxue nor Chen Daoxian had ever specifically practiced the secret technique of extorting confessions by torture. The 5 thunders heart-devouring mantra of Fei Chenxue was learned inadvertently in the early years. As for Chen Daoxian, he doesn't even know a secret method to torture people. Because in Chen Daoxian's view, killing people is no more than a nod to the ground. In the face of the enemy, he has always killed the account, and never thought about how to torture the opponent. This time, he finally realized another deficiency in himself. Fortunately, learning new techniques may be quite exhausting for other monks, but for Chen Daoxian, it is just something that can be done with a little bit of savvy stardust. Not to mention that he and Qianyuan Jianzong are joining forces to attack the real demon world, even if there is no such thing, just relying on the Jiuanzu in Qianyuan Jianzong's inventory, he is not worried about the understanding of Xingqian. You must know that there are tens of millions of Jiayuan beads in his storage ring that have not been used up. Seeing that the other party was stubborn, Chen Daoxian waved his hand, and the space cage that suppressed the Jinpeng World Demon shrank for a while, and the Jinpeng World Demon kept shrinking in size. In the end, the space cage became the size of a glass bead, and the Jinpeng World Demon sealed it like an amber. Call. Chen Daoxian breathed a sigh of relief. Chen Lang doesn't have to mind. With this stubborn cultivation base, even if he is willing to reveal the information of the demon court, it must be very limited. Since it is stubborn and ineffective, it is better to send it directly to the demon-slaying platform and kill it. The demon-slaying platform is the altar specially set up by the heavenly venerates of the Phoenix meteor realm to kill the demons of the world. On the one hand, it is to deter the demons on the battlefield outside the 2 realms. On the other hand, it is also because of killing some sensitive world monsters, such as the current demon court messenger. As the demon of the demon court, if an ordinary cultivator kills it, it will inevitably be revenged by the demon court. The status of Jinpeng World Demon is not considered noble, and even if Chen Daoxian kills the opponent, the probability of causing trouble is very low. But if he is caught by Chen Daoxian, what if he is a direct descendant of the Lord of the Demon Court? Did he kill or not kill? At this time, the Monster Slayer platform can play a role, because the biggest use of the Monster Slayer platform is to not account for cause and effect. Alright. Chen Daoxian nodded slowly, let's go see those guys. After all, the barren land under their feet changed for a while, and Chen Daoxian and the 2 came to a hill where the king of Qingqiu and other world monsters were imprisoned. Looking at the 4 demon master-level demons buried deep in the hills, Chen Daoxian waved his hand. Next moment, the hills burst, and 4 glass bead-like space cages flew out. The space cage the size of a glass bead swelled in the wind, and in a blink of an eye, it returned to its normal size. Looking at the 4 demon masters of the Qingqiu Demon Kingdom in front of him, Chen Daoxian turned his head and said, trouble you. Concubine Qinxue smiled slightly, and immediately held the spirit art and put away the technique of deprivation of the five senses. As the five senses recovered, the four demon lords, including the lord of the Qingqiu demon kingdom, immediately regained consciousness. All the demon masters raised their heads one after another, glanced at the gray and barren world, and immediately realized where they were. World Realm Cultivator. The king of Qingqiu demon kingdom looked at Qin Daoxian with complicated eyes. He knew that the world they were in was created by the young monk in front of him. I didn't expect that in addition to the suzerain, Qianyuan Jianzong actually hides a world powerhouse like you. Seeing that the other party did not recognize him, Qin Daoxian did not explain. After all, the last time the two met, he was still a nobody, hiding among thousands of Wan Xinghai cultivators, and it was normal for the other party not to recognize him. Stop talking nonsense, King Qingqiu, let me ask you, would you like to cooperate with me? The king of Qingqiu sneered, cooperation? I don't know how you want to cooperate. Give up the resistance of divine sense and let me plant a soul imprint. Heard. King Qingqi's face suddenly changed, he glared angrily, and shouted, you want me to be your slave, never mind. Qin Daoxian nodded and said indifferently, if you don't want to, then die. After all, in front of the Qingqiu king, a small golden sword appeared out of thin air. Fei Chengshi's eyes were so vicious, she recognized at a glance that each of these 9 golden swords was formed by the fusion of at least 3 laws, and the degree of fusion of the laws was extremely high, at least 70%. Even she felt a fatal threat from these golden swords. And this is the change in attacking moves after Qin Daoxian broke through to the second floor of the world realm, or in other words, before he broke through the world realm. Qin Daoxian can at most combine the 3 laws of air, water and fire, and the degree of fusion of the laws is only about 70%. The concrete manifestation is that the 3 laws of emptiness, water and fire merge into a golden giant sword. After reaching the second level of the world realm, Qin Daoxian's mastery of the types and degrees of laws has not only improved, but most importantly, his mastery of the fusion of laws has become increasingly proficient. Compared with before breaking through to the world, the two are completely different. For example, the 9 golden swords he is currently displaying, each of which is formed by the fusion of 3 different laws, and the degree of fusion exceeds 90%. This level of attack is already comparable to that of an ordinary second-level real monarch of the world. During the battle with Jiang Qingye, the opponent commented that Qin Daoxian had more than enough defense and insufficient attack. After such a long time, although Qin Daoxian has been focusing on the cultivation body, his exploration of the realm of the Tao, especially the fusion of laws, has not stopped. In particular, Qin Daoxian has the Comprehension star dust as the backing, and comprehends the mystery of the fusion of laws, which is far from what other world real monarchs can match. This was also the reason why Fei Qinxue was shocked. If it was said that when she was fighting with Jiang Qingye, she still had confidence in Qin Daoxian, but now, she feels that she has no confidence in Qin Daoxian at all. The speed of Qin Daoxian's strength improvement is too fast. After all the calculations, it is only more than a year away from gambling with Jiang Qingye. At this time, for other nascent soul monks, even a single retreat is not enough, but Qin Daoxian's progress has been so great. Say it, no one will believe it. Looking at the husband-in-law she personally chose beside her, Fei Chengshi's beautiful eyes could not help flashing a hint of admiration. Mu Chang is human nature, especially women. The golden sword flashed like golden lightning. In an instant, King Qingqiu was cut into nothingness by 9 golden swords. Aside. The other 3 demon masters were so frightened that they did not dare to breathe when they saw that the most powerful King Qingqiu was killed. Qin Daoxian walked to the second demon master. The demon master looked at Qin Daoxian, raised his head, and just wanted to speak. The sword light flashed, and the second demon master died. Qin Daoxian did the same and walked to the third demon master. The third demon master's mentality completely collapsed, and he shouted, "Surrender, I surrender. Don't kill me. I am willing to plant a soul mark." "Knight," Chen Daoxian said coldly next moment. Facing the desperate gaze of the demon master, the 9 golden swords cut it into nothingness again. Until Chen Daoxian walked to the 4th demon master. Before he could do anything, a transparent demon fox spirit stood on top of Jilin's head. As for herself, she knelt down on the ground and didn't even dare to lift her head, she just begged for mercy tremblingly. "I beg Shangxian to spare her life." "You are wise." Chen Daoxian snorted coldly. Looking at the transparent demon fox spirit in front of him, he immediately used the soul seal secret technique to plant a soul seal on its spirit. After a stick of incense, the red-scaled demon fox completely turned into a human woman, standing in front of Chen Daoxian and Fei Chenxue, and said on her knees, "Little demon Qi-scale has seen the master and mistress." Hearing the name Jilin, Chen Daoxian was slightly startled. Because of this name, it sounds exactly like Qi Ling, another of his spiritual pets. Hearing Chen Daoxian's doubts, Qi Lin hurriedly explained, "Master Qi, Qi Ling is a descendant of my bloodline. In the Qingqiu Demon Kingdom, in addition to the Qingqiu Kingdom Lord, there are 3 major bloodlines, and I am the ancestor of one of the bloodlines." Hearing this explanation, Chen Daoxian nodded. Feeling that he has just destroyed the Lord of the Qingqiu Demon Kingdom and the ancestor of the 3 major bloodlines, and there is only one left. If Chen Daoxian no longer intervenes, it is foreseeable that the demise of the Qingqiu Demon Nation is only a matter of time. However, he did so much effort not to destroy the Qingqiu Demon Nation. Although the current Qingqiu Demon Nation is broken and its strength is greatly reduced, its status as a demon force still makes Chen Daoxian very moved. He turned his head to look at Fei Chenxue, and said, "One of the 4 big demon kingdoms has been won, and there are still Dayuan, Lion Camel and Jie Demon Kingdom. Dayuan and Lion Camel Demon Kingdom, the Shadow Palace has a lot of deep arrangement. I can leave this matter to Qin Zhan to handle. As for the extremely night demon country concubine Chenxue thought for a while, let Qin Zhan do it together." "All right." Chen Daoxian nodded. Without the threat of the Xianqing Dao League, the 4 major demon kingdoms would not be able to turn any waves in front of Qianyuan Jianzong. Not to mention Qianyuan Jianzong. Even Chen Daoxian was alone, and he was confident enough to attack the 4 demon kingdoms one by one. After discussing the matter of the 4 demon kingdoms, Chen Daoxian looked at Qi Lin again and asked, "Let me ask you, how many resources are there in the Qingqiu Demon Kingdom?" "Refining resources?" Qi Lin was stunned for a moment, but quickly reacted, "Master, in the Qingqiu Demon Nation, there are 6 large blood crystal mines, 1 medium-sized blood marrow mine, and 1 miniature black crystal mine." "So might?" Chen Daoxian said in surprise. Of course he knew that the black crystal ore in Jilin's mouth was an agglomeration of indestructible true meaning. "You know, this is a whole black crystal mine, far from the 17 boxes of black crystals that Chen Daoxian seized from Jinyuan Jinjuan. Do you know the specific reserves of these deposits?" This Qi Lin was a little dumbfounded, she really didn't know that. Refinement resources are extremely precious to human monks, but to the demons, that's the same. The path taken by the world monsters is completely different from that of the human race monks. What they major in is only the source world within the body. In addition, their demon bodies will continue to grow stronger as the source world increases, and they don't need any body refining resources at all. Unless some world monsters have practiced special exercises. Ordinary world monsters don't need any body refining resources at all. This has resulted in the fact that the body refining resources that are rarely seen in the Phoenix Meteor realm, or have disappeared, are very abundant in the true demon realm, and even a little flooded. If not, it is impossible for a nascent soul cultivator with a near lifespan like Jin Yuanjin to collect a full 17 boxes of black crystals. Although Jilin doesn't know the specific reserves of each mineral deposit, since it can be called a large mineral deposit by Jiayao, its reserves must be very amazing. No wonder the Jiang family can sell blood crystals in Taizhou. It turns out that there are 6 large blood crystal mines in the Qingqiu Demon Country opposite the Taizhou Passage. With such a blood crystal ore, even if the Qingqiu Demon Kingdom leaked a little from the nails, it would be enough to feed the Jiang family. Sure enough, war plunder is the fastest way to get rich. Moreover, war looting is faster than any looting method. The only downside is that it's not sustainable. Knowing that there are so many body refining resources, Qin Daoxian was very excited, and he hit the railway while it was hot. Then do you have this kind of spiritual mine in Qingqiu Demon State? Talking. Qin Daoxian took out a jade slip from the storage ring and handed it to Qi Lin. Qi Lin respectfully took the jade slip and looked at it intently. Half an hour. Qi Lin raised his head and said with a cautious expression, Master, we do not have this kind of spiritual ore called Qingmu steel, but the Demon Kingdom of Extreme Night seems to have a mineral deposit that is very similar to the description of this kind of spiritual ore. It's just that it's not called Aoki steel, but Xian Qingshi. Qingmugang is just a name called by the Jiang family. In the real demon world, the name is definitely different. For example, indestructible true meaning, in the real demon world, it is called black crystal. This is innocuous, as long as Qin Daoxian knows that there are indeed these resources here, that's enough. 7017K. You're tuning into the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.